right? Okay. How many people do we have online?
44.
Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. Happy to have you here. This is a opportunity, a new window for us, opportunity for many startups and many innovators to contribute. I think this should be working, so we should be okay, right? You should be okay, right? Okay, so to many of you who are new here, the Venture Center is actually a technology business incubator. We focus on science and technical innovation-based startups. So basically, we look at deep tech kind of startups. We are sector agnostic, actually. We look at all kinds of sectors as long as there is knowledge intensity in the ideas, right? That's what our forte is. That's our area of strength. And of course, Shoma will give you a brief overview about Venture Center as well. We are hosted by NCL here. This is a not-for-profit company which is located here. And we are host to actually a lot of companies at any given time, 70 plus startups in this campus, resident. And then there are, of course, we are mentoring people in 17 other cities of India. So it's a large operation. But our focus so far has been on many other sectors where you see a lot more of, venture capital action, private equity investments, and so on and so forth. So this is a new sector for us. Defense per se, or security applications, and so on and so forth, has always been of interest to us because, that's a sector where you need to always be at the cutting edge of technology, right? Because your opponents are not going to be behind. So you need to be at the cutting edge. And so we do see real value in the kind of opportunities that the defense and security technologies open out for technology developers and innovators. And I think that's something which all of you should be leveraging. It's a great opportunity. Some years back, when the DIO was being conceived, the idea was to leverage individual innovators, small and medium enterprises to do some of these technologies which India needs. And I think that's shaped up quite well. It is taking shape as we speak. Jatin will tell you a lot more about it, right? They are actually growing and they are expanding quite a bit right now, which is great news. We also need to have probably this in much larger scale and scope. The other thing I want to point out is the defense is a microcosm in itself, right? All kinds of disciplines are there inside that microcosm. So many things which you might be doing for commercial sectors might actually be very relevant for the defense as well. So that's another opportunity for you to leverage. It's also possible that some of these sectors will allow you to be a little more ambitious, maybe scale in a different way. So in all of those contexts, I think this is a great opportunity. So thank you all for being here. I welcome you. I also welcome those who are online. This is a hybrid event. So please forgive us if it's a little rough sometimes because we're going to try and balance all of this together. But that said, I think this was an opportunity which we wanted to reach out to many more people. So we thought hybrid would be better as well. So with that, I'll stop. Over to Shoma, and Shoma will guide us through the rest of the discussions. I'll come back in one of the panel discussions a little later.
Yeah. So Dr. Premnath already mentioned about Idex, but I will also set the little bit context here before Jatin takes it over in the next session. So Idex is Innovation for Defense Excellence, funded and managed by Defense Innovation Organization, where the Defense Innovation Organization is an initiative of Ministry of Defense and a Section 8 not-for-profit company. Their objective, as it is written on the screen, you can see, is foster innovation, technology development for defense and aerospace, for innovators and entrepreneurs provides a great opportunity to technologically advanced solutions for modernizing the Indian military. As we hear the word defense, we are always filled with pride and we are enthused to actually contribute in whatever small way we can. What better way than contributing in defense sector through our innovations and novel technology solutions, especially when it is the third stage on indigenization, and when there is a complexity in the growing challenges. And the defense, as we sometimes perceive, is not about just weapons technology or very large military solutions or heavy engineering ones. It is also giving us a gamut of opportunities in the healthcare, in the themes of healthcare, robotics, autonomous systems, cybersecurity, and many others. So I think this is a wonderful opportunity for all of you to interact with all the speakers and the experts that are here to understand that what are the opportunities, what is the process to collaborate with the defense establishments, and how you can leverage some of the funding schemes to advance your journey. But before I go ahead with today's program, I would like to take 2 minutes of yours to also add on to what Dr. Premnath said about Venture Center. First of all, I'm really proud to share that Venture Center is recently become a partner incubator to Idex DIO, which means we are here now to support your defense projects with access to mentoring, funding schemes, networking, any kind of connects, and also helping you with the project management of the defense establishments. So Venture Center is today one of the leading early stage inventive science and technology business incubator and winner of various national and international awards. We are hosted by National Chemical Laboratory, it's a CSIR institute under DSIR, and also we are created under the scheme of CSIR and supported by Department of Science and Technologies and STDB. The mission of Venture Center is basically to create a conducive environment to be able to nucleate and nurture knowledge-based enterprises by leveraging science and engineering competencies of the institutes across the country with obviously focus on Pune. So we wish to empower scientists and engineers pursue technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship objectives. So we work with startups that are working with IP-driven technology, which are IP-driven knowledge-intensive products and services in the domains of healthcare, agro, food, nutrition, environment, sustainability. Basically, we are happy to support any sectors where the knowledge can be applied to create meaningful products and a scalable, sustainable businesses can be created out of it. So what have we achieved so far? Supported more than 650 plus startup teams in various programs. 160 plus has been working as an in-person physical presence from Venture Center. They are called resident incubatees. And 11 companies has been created under our unique lab to market program, which is technology commercialization from the publicly funded research organization. There are many startups among these which have developed solutions that are first in the India as well as in the world. These are glimpses of some of those startups. Companies with FDA approved implants. I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Sorry, I need to share the screen.
It happens with hybrid.
Yes. So, some initial glitches of going hybrid. Yeah. So we have companies who have developed FDA-approved implants, first in India, but even in the world, companies with first dual-powered defibrillator, proprietary software, hardware platform for drones, companies working on large-scale implementation like Nobel Exchange's organic kitchen waste to biogas conversion, and My Labs with their reach indigenously developed, approved RT-PCR and rapid antigen test kits. So 85% of our startups, pardon? 85% of our startup founders have strong technical and professional backgrounds. 75% are building products and generating almost more than 100 unique families of patents. And not only knowledge, but the economic outcome is also very strong and promising. Our startups raising funds more than 500 crores in last 5 years and 1,000 crores of revenue generated in the last 5 to 6 years. The rich ecosystem built over an area of 11-acre campus, lush green campus. All of you are more than welcome to visit us at some point of time. And very high-end facilities and unique resource centers. Interestingly, also we have like 30% of our founders are women here. So I was just talking about the ecosystem. So that comprises of, first of all, mentoring, deep in-depth in-house mentoring via our in-house mentors and external networks, funding in terms of fellowships, grants, investments, which schemes are directly implemented by us. So you can always come and chat with us about those schemes, and something we can also facilitate for yourself as well. There are certain hard facilities like resource centers, dedicated labs, in-house R&D facilities of the company's offices, shared desks, high-end scientific facilities for analysis, characterization, proof of concept demonstration, prototype development labs, small-scale manufacturing facilities like plug-and-play shared lab, etc. And we are also part of very large national programs. Idex is, of course, one of them, but we are already part of NIDI Center of Excellence, National Biopharma Mission, all of that. So at any given point of time, we are supporting in excess of 70 startups as resident, at least between 40 to 50 virtual startups, which are located across the country. As Dr. Premnath mentioned, almost 17 cities, their mentees are present. And as you can see, the startups are working on diverse set of themes like biomedical devices, implants, life sciences, point of care, rapid, affordable diagnostic kits, biomedical implants, and pharma, drug discovery, drug delivery under biopharma, agri inputs, secondary agriculture, food nutrition, storage, augmentation, renewable energy generation, waste management under energy and environment sector. And
Go ahead.
Yeah. And also engineering and hardware products around software simulation, IoT for industry automation, resource optimization. This is the board of Venture Center. So I'm almost finishing off. Let's just finish. This is the board of directors. Dr. Ashish Lele, the director of NCL, is the chairman of board of Venture Center, along with representation from the government, academia, entrepreneurial world. And Dr. Premnath here is one another board member. We are very thankful to all the government organizations for supporting us throughout our journey, as well as our corporate and donors as well. These are some of the glimpses of Venture Center facilities that I mentioned are built across this lush green campus. Yeah, and with that, I will stop about Venture Center. Any of you have any further questions or you wish to know more about us, we'll be happy to discuss that at another point of time. So coming to today's event, we are conducting a roadshow and outreach event for Idex. And the theme of today's outreach program is how to fund and advance innovations for India's defense and security forces. And this is going to be the flow of the sessions during these 2 hours. First, we will be inviting for our keynote address, Mr. Jatin Arora, who is the program executive at the Ministry of Defense. Following that, we will have 2 panel discussions, very interesting panel discussions. First one from the entrepreneurs and the winners and founder of companies who have experiences of working with the defense projects and working with defense establishments. They will be sharing the lessons learned so that for the newbies who are planning to apply for this program, it will be very, very useful insights. And secondly, we will have a panel of defense technology experts who are on the other side of the table and being present long time with the working in the defense sectors. They are going to share what are the emerging technology trends and how one can leverage those opportunities in the defense. And after the program ends, we will also be having a small networking kind of gathering. So some of you may want to stay back and interact with our speakers. So these are photographs of the speakers who are going to be there with us during the panel discussions. So with this, I would now like to go with the first session, which is going to be keynote address by Mr. Jatin Arora. And let me introduce him. So Jatin Arora is Program Executive at Ministry of Defense, Government of India. He is working under the Ministry of Defense. His career spanned over 7 years with at least 4+ years with the startup ecosystem. He has consulted many startups, MSMEs from multiple domains as a freelance business consultant. His role includes growth strategy of the organization, encompassing product development, commercialization, and go-to-market strategy, strategic alliances, and investor relations. He is invited as a motivational speaker and keynote address to various events by mid-corporates, MSME, startups, colleges, and NGOs. With this, Jatin, I would like to invite you to the stage, and the floor is yours.
I think you need to do something.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Hello, may I interrupt? There are few feedbacks regarding the Zoom call. The slides are not visible clearly, and those are not changing as well. So could you just fix that so that we will be also able to connect with the speaker and their slides? So thank you.
Is it full screen? So I think it's not yet shared.
It's not shared yet.
Just escape out on it. Yeah. Share first.
No, after sharing it can't.
I think it should work. There's a Zoom. How are we doing?
Pratik, it is full screen? No, it doesn't. So you have to do full screen first and then go control all.
Yeah. How's it now? Please go ahead.
Yes, it is visible now. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Energy, energy, energy. I need energy only. Good afternoon, everyone. Come on, good afternoon, everyone. एक बार और. Good afternoon, everyone. किस किसने लंच किए? Raise your hands. किस किसने लंच किए? थोड़ा उसमें कुछ कम था. एक बार और पूरी एनर्जी के साथ. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, now I can feel that there is some audience who is enthusiastic, motivated to do something, to make a change in the country. Who is going to bring the change in the country? Say I. Come on, say I. Give me more noise, guys. Say I. Come on, I. I. This energy is required at the beginning of the project, at the middle of the project, and at the end of the project. परिस्थितियां समस्या नहीं देती है, मनस्थिति समस्या देती है. तो मनस्थिति को ठीक करेंगे, परिस्थिति ठीक हो जाएगी. Are you with me? Yes, no? Yes. Come on, guys. Yes, no? Yes. Okay. So very good afternoon, everyone. I am Jatin Arora, working as Program Executive Officer with Defense Innovation Organization, Ministry of Defense, Government of India. Firstly, I am honored and privileged to be a part of Venture Center, and I am thankful to each and everyone present over here. All the people, students, I can see startups, who all are here. Can you please let me know who all are here? Startups. Who are startups? Please raise your hands. Okay. And students? Anyone else? Faculty members or experts? Incubators. Awesome. You are, sir? Faculty member. And you are from? आप कहाँ से हैं सभी लोग? हिंदी चलेगा? हिंदी इंग्लिश चलेगा?
कितने लोग पुणे से हैं वो पूछिए.
हाँ, अच्छा, कितने लोग पुणे से हैं? सारे लोग पुणे से हैं? वेरी गुड. तो हिंदी इंग्लिश दोनों चलेगा? लैंग्वेज की बात कर रहा हूँ. किसकी बात कर रहा हूँ? लैंग्वेज की. भाषा. हाँ, भाषा की. तो कहीं हम कहीं और ना पहुंच जाए. तो या सो आज आप सभी जानते होंगे कि हमारा भारत आजादी का 75वां वर्ष मना रहा है, जिसको हम बोल रहे हैं कि 75 इयर्स ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंस. इस आज के नए भारत को देखकर जो हमें बदलाव महसूस हो रहा है, आज का भारत मंथन के एक अभूतपूर्व दौर से गुजर रहा है, और इस मंथन से निकलने वाला अमृत रक्षा क्षेत्र में आत्मनिर्भरता, भारत सरकार द्वारा उठाए गए कदम इस नए भारत के साक्षी हैं. हमारा देश नई ऊंचाइयों को छुए, हमारा देश पुनः सोने की चिड़िया कहलाया जाए, हमारा देश का सैन्य बल निरंतर मजबूत हो, और हमारे देश के इकोसिस्टम को, देश के स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम को बहुत बढ़ावा मिले. इन्हीं के साथ हम आज के सेशन की शुरुआत करते हैं. आज के कार्यक्रम को स्टार्ट करने से पहले मैं आपसे ये कहना चाहूंगा कि आइडेक्स इनोवेशंस फॉर डिफेंस एक्सीलेंस, इसका लॉन्च वर्ष 2018 में माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने किया था, जिसका मुख्य उद्देश्य है रक्षा के क्षेत्र में देश को आत्मनिर्भर बनाना, डिफेंस स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम को बल देना, देश के युवा इनोवेटर्स को डिफेंस टेक्नोलॉजी एवं इनोवेशन के माध्यम से विकास के मार्ग पर पहुंचाना. और मुझे आप सभी को ये बताते हुए अत्यंत हर्ष हो रहा है, अत्यंत खुशी हो रही है कि आइडेक्स अपने निर्धारित लक्ष्यों को बहुत तेजी से हासिल कर रहा है. आज आइडेक्स स्टार्टअप्स के पास कम समय सीमा में इंडियन डिफेंस इकोसिस्टम की समस्याओं को सॉल्व करने का कैलिबर है. कम बजट में डिफेंस स्टार्टअप की कॉम्प्लेक्स प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व करने का डेडिकेशन है और विजन है। आज के स्टार्टअप देश में नवाचार, नवाचार मतलब इनोवेशन, तो आज के स्टार्टअप देश में इनोवेशन को बढ़ावा दे रहे हैं और इसका श्रेय देश के सभी स्टार्टअप्स को जाता है, एमएसएमईज को जाता है, हमारे एस्टीम्ड पार्टनर इंक्यूबेटर्स को जाता है और हमारे आर्म फोर्सेस के ऑफिशियल्स को जाता है। जैसा कि मैंने बताया कि और अभी ये 2018 में आईडेक्स की शुरुआत हुई थी। मई 2020 में भारत के प्रधानमंत्री जी ने एक नई मुहिम चलाई थी जिसको हम लोग जानते हैं आत्मनिर्भर भारत के नाम से। किसके नाम से? आत्मनिर्भर भारत। तो ये आत्मनिर्भर भारत है क्या? क्या अभी आप लोग ये शब्द स्वदेशी को अपनाना है, आत्मनिर्भर भारत बनाना है, देश में इंडिजनाइजेशन को प्रमोट करना है, इसका मतलब ये शब्द अभी हम पिछले कई महीनों से हम सुनते हुए आ रहे हैं ये वाले शब्द। लेकिन मेरा सवाल ये है कि क्या भारत को आत्मनिर्भरता की जरूरत थी? और अगर थी तो क्या आत्मनिर्भरता के लक्ष्य को प्राप्त करने के लिए हमारे पास मूलभूत सुविधाएं हैं? इंडस्ट्री को, स्टार्टअप्स को क्या क्या सुविधाएं दी जाए जिससे आत्मनिर्भरता के लक्ष्य को हासिल किया जाए? क्या आत्मनिर्भरता सिर्फ डिफेंस के इंपोर्ट को बंद करना है? नहीं। वन ऑफ द अंडरलाइंग ऑब्जेक्टिव of Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliant India was to make country producer rather than consumer. To make country producer rather than consumer for the world economy. Now let's move on to the presentation, the Idex presentation, which Idex is doing. Idex is bridging the gap between the innovator and the user. Innovator is a startup, is the MSME, is the individual innovator, and user is the armed forces, Indian Army, Indian Navy, Indian Air Force, Coast Guard, or OFB, DPSUs, or Ministry of Home Affairs. So these are the users who will be using the products of the startups. So Idex is bridging that gap. अभी हमने बात करी कि इंडिजनाइजेशन हमने बहुत शब्द सुना है, आत्मनिर्भरता हमने शब्द सुना है, तो क्या आप लोगों में से मुझे कोई बताएगा कि भारत में रक्षा के क्षेत्र में आत्मनिर्भरता की क्या जरूरत थी? Why indigenization is required in defense sector? Anyone may answer, please.
Because we are importing various of equipment from other countries like Russia and USA. Like we are currently importing submarines from Russia. We can make ourselves in our Visakhapatnam port. We are not making it. So for that reason we need this.
Very good, very good. Yes.
Importantly, we are the largest importer of defense equipment globally. Number one.
Very true, very true. Yes. Anyone else?
Dependencies भी कम करनी।
वेरी गुड। डिपेंडेंसी बहुत कम करनी है। डिपेंडेंसी कम करेंगे तो ये तो हम क्या कहलाएंगे? आत्मनिर्भर। क्या कहलाएंगे? तो आत्मनिर्भर कहलाएंगे तो आवाज थोड़ी सी और बुलंद होनी चाहिए। क्या कहलाएंगे? गुड। तो कौन कहलाएगा?
हम कहलाएंगे।
हम नहीं, मैं। जब हम बोलते हैं ना तो ये नहीं पता चल पाता कि अकाउंटेबिलिटी और रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी किसकी है। तो लोग बोलते हैं कि अकाउंटेबिलिटी और रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी मोदी जी की है, उन्होंने आत्मनिर्भर भारत लॉन्च किया। नहीं, जब तक हम अकाउंटेबिलिटी और रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नहीं लेंगे बदलाव की, तो बदलाव की जिम्मेदारी किसकी है? मेरी है। किसकी है? मेरी। अच्छा हुआ हमारी नहीं बोला किसी ने। तो बदलाव की जिम्मेदारी मेरी है। जब हम बोलते हैं कि मैंने करना है, then I am taking the ownership, I am taking the accountability to do that particular job, to do that particular assignment. So yes, very true. सबसे पहले इंपोर्ट, जिसकी अभी हम बात कर रहे थे कि हम इंडिया जो है सेकंड लार्जेस्ट आर्म्स इंपोर्टर है इन द वर्ल्ड। सो दैट इज द बिगेस्ट प्राइम रीजन कि क्यों हमें फर्स्ट, ठीक है, इंडिया फर्स्ट नेशन है आर्म्स इंपोर्टर का पूरे वर्ल्ड में। तो दिस इज द फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट प्रायोरिटी कि हमें क्यों आत्मनिर्भरता की जरूरत है। देन सिक्योरिटी इंपेरेटिव। आज के टाइम में डिफेंस टेक्नोलॉजीज are changing at a very fast pace. Technology is changing. AI, ML, IoT are taking place and eradicating people, removing people. So in that case, we also have to be advanced. अभी तक क्या होता था, अगर हम कोई टेक्नोलॉजी खरीद रहे हैं, उसको भारत में आते आते ही 5 साल, 10 साल, 15 साल लग रहे हैं। तो जब तक वो टेक्नोलॉजी हमारे देश में आती है तब तक वो ऑब्सोलीट हो जाती है और नई टेक्नोलॉजी हमें दोबारा से इंपोर्ट करनी पड़ती है. So that was the major challenge in the defense sector. That is why the indigenization or the Atmanirbhar Bharat Muhim was required. Third is the employment generation. Defense industries, we have seen the caliber of students, we have seen the caliber of startups, a complex defense problem which was solved by the armed forces or the DPSUs, those big buildings, big offices, large cabins. So these problems were solved by them. That too used to take 10 years, 15 years at a stretch. But now startups are solving those complex problems in a fraction of time and in a fraction of cost. That is, in 2 years or 3 years, that problem, that complex problem of defense ecosystem is getting solved with just fraction of funds. The technology that we used to buy at 50 crore, 100 crore, our own startups are building that technology in 3 crore, 4 crore or 5 crore. So imagine the amount of corpus that government of India is saving. Not government of India, we the people of India are saving by promoting indigenization, by promoting self-reliance in defense sector. It is estimated that 20 to 25% in defense related imports could directly create an additional 1,50,000 to 2 lakh highly skilled jobs in India. अगर हम खुद देश में आत्मनिर्भरता को बढ़ावा देते हैं और देश का एक ऐसा इकोसिस्टम को हम डेवलप करते हैं तो हमारे देश में ही एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन होगा. और एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन लाना किसकी जिम्मेदारी है? कम ऑन, किसकी जिम्मेदारी है? मैं ऐसे आप लोगों के साथ करता रहूंगा ताकि खाने के बाद कोई सो ना जाए. तो मेरे सेशन में कभी कोई सोया नहीं है और मैं सोने देता भी नहीं हूँ. तो आप लोग एंगेजमेंट मेंटेन रखना चाहेंगे? यस नो? Come on guys, yes, no? Yes. Good. Now strategic capability. Defense is always confidential. When it comes to procurement of any defense technology, whether it is software or hardware, it is required to maintain the secrecy of that particular component, to maintain the secrecy of that particular machine or equipment or any radar or anything else. That is required. But when we import, so we have to submit the details that what we are buying and for what purpose we are buying. So that every detail has to be reported at the international community also. So if we are already exposing our technology, then how can we say that we are developing something which is advanced, which is new in nature? So for that also, there was a dire need to promote indigenization. And last one is nationalism. हम सभी कौन है? भारतीय हैं. कौन है? कौन है? तो हम भारतीय हैं और जब हम अपने देश में बनी हुई किसी चीज का यूज करते हैं तो हम उसमें गर्व महसूस करते हैं. How many of you have witnessed one WhatsApp message floating during the Diwali time कि चाइना का माल नहीं लेना है, चाइना का माल नहीं लेना है, होली पे चाइना के गुब्बारे नहीं लेने हैं, रंग नहीं लेना है, लेकिन at the end of the day हम क्या लेते हैं? हम वही लेते हैं. The reason behind this, we do not have that economies of scale so that we can reduce down the cost and then we can sell to our fellow Indians. जब हमारे देश में वैसा इकोसिस्टम नहीं होगा कि हम खुद उसका इंपोर्ट कर रहे हैं और हम फिर वो बोल रहे हैं कि वो नहीं करना, तो either if you say to people that don't buy this, then also tell them what they need to buy. अगर आप सिर्फ सामने वालों को ये बताते हैं कि आपको ये नहीं खरीदना चाहिए क्योंकि ये चाइना का है, तो आप ये भी बताओ कि हम भारत में वैसा क्या खरीदें. An entrepreneur, startup, innovator has to give options to the market also, has to give options to the government of India also. Defense में अगर हम बात करते हैं, it's a very very complex field. So many litigations, so many regulations, so many standards, so many protocols. Each and everything is well documented. So if you need to participate in the defense ecosystem, you need to enter into the defense ecosystem. It is important that you produce a solution also. You just don't raise the question to the government as a news reporter that भारत सरकार ये कर रही है, भारत सरकार वो कर रही है. Rather, you bring a solution, you work on a solution, work on a prototype and deliver a solution to your fellow Indians. Then we will say you are doing something for this country and promoting indigenization. So WhatsApp message forward karna is not a solution at the Diwali days or at holy days. Bringing something constructive is the solution that India needs in today's time. So Idex is funded and managed by a Defense Innovation Organization, which is predominantly known as DIO, is a Section 8 company and a non-for-profit company. The modalities of implementation of DIF, Defense Innovation Fund. So what used to happen, we have DPSUs. Anybody know the full form of DPSU? Yes, Defense Public Sector Undertakings. There are multiple PSUs in India, and in those PSUs, there are specific DPSUs, Defense Public Sector Undertakings in India. So these Defense Public Sector Undertakings organizations basically robust the entire defense ecosystem and produce defense related production for the armed forces. So हमारे देश में जब ये DPSUs हैं, so but the problem was the entire process was very slow. The procurement process was very slow. Import process was very slow. If one Rafale deal gets closed, then there are thousands of people pointing at the government that this is happening. But those people don't know the background story, that how India needs to strengthen its defense power, how India needs to have something which may require at an emergency time. So that is the first and foremost thing that India should develop, and we are working on it. So IDEX is basically aims to create an ecosystem to foster innovation in defense and aerospace domain, which includes MSMEs, startups, individual innovators, research and development institutes, and academia. IDEX provide grants, funding, and support startups to carry out the R&D things. So now if I am saying that develop a solution in India, so if you're developing a solution, what do you need the most? That is the funds, that is the grant, that is the money. First and foremost thing is the same. Am I right or wrong? Are you with me? Yes, no?
Yes.
So if that is the case, then as I earlier said, अगर हम ये चाह रहे हैं कि हमारे देश में कुछ बने, तो हमें देश के स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम को बढ़ावा देने के लिए उनको सपोर्ट भी देना पड़ेगा. If we are expecting startups to do something, if we are expecting startups to make a prototype which clears all the mill grade standards, then we have to provide access to the startup, the technological access also, the knowledge support also, and the funding support also. So that is why, that's when we can say a system is robust or the intention of the government is very clear. Now we usually see that in our day-to-day life, सरकारें कहती बहुत कुछ है लेकिन पेपर पर ही रहता है, वो जमीन पर नहीं उतर पाता है. So that is why a system was required which literally creates a change, makes a change at the grassroots level. आप सभी चेंज देखना चाहते हैं? Yes, no?
Yes.
Come on guys, yes, no?
Yes.
कौन लेकर आएगा?
मैं.
कौन लेकर आएगा?
मैं.
अच्छा, वो हम नहीं बोला. फिर तो ये जिम्मेदारी भी किसकी है? मेरी है. तो जब हमने चेंज लेकर आना है तो सरकार की ये जिम्मेदारी है to empower the institutions, to empower an ecosystem. So in that ecosystem, we need partner incubators also who will incubate at a granular level to that specific region of startups. We need nodal officers also, we need industry experts also, and we need the user also. The involvement of user is very, very important. If you are creating something for someone, so that user has to define the exact requirement, that what exactly is needs. So when I used to do the business consulting with MSMEs, so वहां पर एक jargon बोला जाता था काफी, don't give what you like to the dog. Dog likes his own food. आपको अगर राजमा चावल अच्छे लगते हैं, so don't expect that dog will also like राजमा चावल. He needs something else, right? In the similar way, you have to identify the requirement of your user. You have to understand at a granular level what exactly is the requirement of my user. Only according to that specifications, I can deliver that mill grade standard product. So the IDEX team will need to undertake the following activities. Managing of the IDEX network, which IDEX network I already told that partner incubators or nodal officers. So who is a partner incubator? Partner incubator. So we have in India, we have 14 partner incubators. So partner incubators are basically the institutions which have expertise to incubate the startups, to nurture the startups, and to handhold the startups during that entire development journey. So those are experts in their domain. Partner incubators are experts in their domain. Like Venture Center is one of the partner incubator. Then we have nodal officers. So nodal officer is basically the user for whom we are developing the product. For example, if we are creating a product for the Indian Army, then who is the user? Indian Army. If we are creating a product for Bharat Electronics Limited, which is a DPSU, so who is the end user? Bharat Electronics Limited. So in the similar fashion, all we have 16 DPSUs as of now. After that, Indian Armed Forces and the other services, Indian Coast Guard and Ministry of Home Affairs, which includes CRPF, BSF, and other paramilitary forces also. So we have taken suggestions, we have taken challenges from them also. Then facilitate scale up, indigenization and integration, evaluate technologies and products, interface with the military. Now, this interface from the military is very, very important. So what we do, what is our format? We launch challenges. That is called DISC challenges, Defense India Startup Challenge. What it is called? DISC, D-I-S-C, Defense India Startup Challenge. So in every 3 months or 4 months, we launch challenges and we keep it in the open domain so that it is accessible to all the people of India. Only eligibility is you have to be Indian. That's it, because we are promoting indigenization. So the only eligibility to apply in our challenges is you have to be an Indian, and you should have higher stake. If it is a company which has foreign stake also, then your stake must be higher than, it should be 51% than to your counterpart. So that is the only eligibility that you will have. So we throw challenges in the open domain, and these challenges are given by the users, right? So armed forces are the user and DPSUs are the users. So they tell their problem that we are facing this problem since long time, defense specific problem taking too much time. So we throw them in the open domain and startups apply. Startups like you who would be the potential IDEX winners tomorrow. So you apply to those challenges, and there is a scrutiny process which is called HPSC, High Power Screening Committee. And thereafter there are some due diligence. Once you complete that, you will be awarded the grant of 1.5 crore. This is called the Spark grant. Now we have launched, we have gone one step more ahead. We have launched Idex Prime also. In that we give grant up to rupees 10 crore. So that is the path breaking step, the strategy that Government of India has taken. So this is our journey. In 2018, the first DISC challenge was launched. IDEX was launched. So IDEX was launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi when? 2018. In 2018, it was launched by Honorable Prime Minister, and we launched DISC 1. In 2019, we launched DISC 2 and DISC 3 and Open Challenge. Now, what is Open Challenge? I have told you about the DISC challenges. DISC is when there is already a particular challenge given by the DPSUs or the armed forces. If you have something innovative which is not covered in those challenge lists, then you may propose an open solution to the armed forces. You may propose a direct open solution to the DPSUs that, boss, this is my capability. I can do this. Give me an opportunity. I just need funds, this much of access, this much of facility. I need some technical know-how, and I can do this product. I can make this product. I can contribute via making this product. So this is an open innovation where you propose a solution to the nodal agency, and finally the steps are the same. The committee and the due diligence processes are same. Then if you have been awarded, then you will be given a grant of 1.5 crore. So that grant is given on a face-to-face basis. That is, we call in our ecosystem, that is on milestone basis. So on milestone basis, we give the grant to the startups, whether it is open challenge or whether it is DISC challenge, right? So these two kinds of models that we have. DISC is where defined challenge statement is there. Open is where you propose a solution to any of the armed forces, where you think that this solution will work for this particular armed forces, might be relevant to the Indian Army, Navy or Air Force or the DPSUs, that you will have to propose. We finally shortlist that through the help of our partner incubators, and we send the data to all the nodal officers. We send to all the services, all the armed forces, and they shortlist that this solution seems to be viable if given particular grant, if given access, if given technical support, if given prototyping support, then this product may help to reduce the burden of indigenous import in our ecosystem. So that is open challenge, where you propose the solution. So in 2020, we did the showcase of IDEX winners, and then we launched DISC 4 and IDEX for Fauji. So IDEX for Fauji is for someone who is a serving officer in the armed forces. So because they are the people who actually works on the technology, who are the user also. So IDEX for 4G is for those who are the serving officers in the armed forces. So they also come up with a solution that we know this is the problem because they have been serving the country through that job profile. So they propose us, this is a solution that we think can help Indian defense to become much more reliant, to become much more strengthened the country basically. And then in 2021, we did start a Manthan and the PMA portal was launched. What is PMA? PMA is product management approach. So earlier, like every Sarkari daftar, we used to take so many papers. We used to do so much due diligence by asking this paper, this is pending, this is pending. All hard copies have to be submitted. Now, when we are promoting indigenization, we are promoting digitalization of India, then we thought to implement a system in our ecosystem which can reduce the burden of paper checking and paper submission of the papers. So that is why we launched one portal by the name of PMA portal, that is grant management portal basically, and PMA is project management approach, where we all the stakeholders have a different dedicated account of that particular project, and they approve the project, they see the progress anytime. And this portal, the most important aspect, this portal has access directly to the RMO, that is Raksha Mantri office, and PMO, Pradhan Mantri office. So they sitting in their cabin, they can open the portal, they can see that how many winners are there, how much grant has been disbursed, how much grant is in the pipeline, how many startups have made the prototype, or what is the entire progress. So that the senior officials or the ministry people can see on one single click. So this ensures the 100% transparency and 100% clarity into the entire process of grant disbursal. So this is a milestone that we have achieved. Now we are going one step more ahead. We are launching the second version of PMA that will be 100% paperless. Till now, we seek some reports, we do some things, but that are very, very minimal. But now in the phase 2, all these paperwork will be washed away. We will just approve the case on the portal. All people will be able to see the progress of each and every case, progress of each and every startup on the portal itself. So that we are launching very soon. And in 2022, just in last month, in April, we did Def Connect 2.0. Def Connect is an exclusive IDEX event where IDEX startups showcase their products to the armed forces, to the visitors, and a grand event was organized in April itself. And many of our startups showcase their product there. And Honorable Raksha Mantri Shri Rajnath Singh Ji was the chief guest in that event. So once Rajnath Singh Ji is there, then all the military officials, all the representatives from the services grace their presence in that event, and they see the technology that is taking shape. So again, see the impact. It is not about that you have been given a grant and you are just making a prototype. The vision is much more behind that, much more beyond that. You will get an access to the defense facilities. You will get an access where subject matter experts, industry experts, Raksha Mantri, Pradhan Mantri, they come and they understand the technology that you have been working, that you are creating. So this is much more beyond grant. This is much more beyond making country self-reliant. You get an access to an ecosystem where you have many people of the same vision. So vision is important. If you want to achieve something, vision is important. Yes, no? Yes. Come on, guys. Yes, no? Yes. Vision is important? Yes. Yes? Yes or no? Yes. Important or very important? Very important or very, very important? Very, very important. आप कोई ना कोई अपना बिजनेस कर रहे होंगे तो आप मुझे बताइए कि विजन कितना इंपॉर्टेंट है किसी भी बिजनेस के लिए। उद्दी का सर आप बताइए सर। सबसे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है। विजन से सर क्या होता है, मतलब क्या आउटकम हम एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं?
जो भी आप करना चाहते हैं उसके लिए इच्छा होना, एक टारगेट होना जरूरी होता है, और ये टारगेट कैसे अचीव करना है इसमें कुछ तो आपका यूनिक होना।
वेरी गुड।
इसी को तो विजन है।
वेरी गुड। और बताइए एनीवन एल्स, विजन क्या होता है? किसी भी स्टार्टअप को सफल करने के लिए आपको क्या चाहिए?
क्लैरिटी ऑफ थॉट्स।
वेरी गुड, क्लैरिटी ऑफ थॉट्स। हाथ आगे लगाइए, ऐसे 2 करिए, 2 विक्ट्री साइन बनाते हैं ना, 2 ऐसे करिए हाथ को, राइट हैंड अप। We need only 2 things. Say we need only two things. One is clarity. Come on, one is clarity. Second is energy. Come on, second is अगर आपके पास क्लैरिटी है लेकिन आपका मोटिवेशन डाउन है, आप टूटे पड़े हैं, आपकी टीम टूटी पड़ी है, उनके पास मोटिवेशन नहीं है उस काम को करने का, एनर्जी नहीं है, तो क्या आप गोल को अचीव कर पाएंगे? यस नो? कम ऑन गाइस, यस नो? नो। और अगर आपकी टीम सुपर चार्ज है, आप सुपर चार्ज है, लेकिन उसके बाद आपके पास विजन नहीं है, तो आप काम कर पाएंगे? यस नो? रेलवे स्टेशन पर जाकर ट्रेन में बैठ गए, डेस्टिनेशन का नहीं पता, सही जगह पे पहुंच जाएंगे? नो। सबसे पहले क्या जरूरी है? जहां जाना है, जो डेस्टिनेशन है, उसका पता होना चाहिए। अगर दिशा क्लियर है तो आपकी दशा ठीक हो जाएगी, और अगर दशा भी ठीक है तो आप दिशा भी ढूंढ लेंगे। तो दशा और दिशा ये दोनों बहुत जरूरी है। अगर आपकी क्लैरिटी है तो आप एनर्जी मेंटेन कर लेंगे, और अगर आपके पास एनर्जी है तो आप क्लैरिटी फाइंड आउट कर ही लेंगे। सब्जेक्टेड आपके पास वो विल पावर है। बताइए सर।
विजन का मतलब एक्चुअली ये होता है, ठीक है, यहाँ पे सब ठीक है, ये ठीक है,
सही बात है,
लेकिन उसके साथ आप जोड़ो आत्मा। जब तक आपकी आत्मा आपको साथ दे रही है तो हर चीज आपके साथ।
लोग मुझे सुपरस्टिशियस में कहने लग जाए यहाँ पर।
सुपरस्टिशियस मत करिए,
हाँ,
आप इंडिविजुअल को पकड़िए, इंडिविजुअल को पकड़िए, इंडिविजुअल कंट्रीब्यूशन।
व्हाट ही मेंट बाय आत्मा इज कि आप अपना उसमें झोंक देते हैं सब कुछ। आपने कई लोग ऐसे अपनी जिंदगी में देखे होंगे जिनका बस एक ही पर्पस होता है कि इस पर्टिकुलर काम को करना है, इस पर्टिकुलर एम को अचीव करना है। सो दैट इज द फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट थिंग दैट दे वांट एंड दे डू इट। सेकंड इज टाइम।
Just watch the time.
Okay, 5-7 minutes more.
Take some questions also after that.
Okay. So this startup ecosystem, we give grant and experienced team of DIO is there to support you, access to equipment and laboratories, testing and integration facilities that we offer, incubation under partner incubators, experts and mentorship by PI, outreach and showcase opportunities. So that we are doing right now. Idex process, this I already told you. We receive problem statement from the armed forces, then we shortlist. We publish those problem statements on the public domain, and we do the outreach events to make people aware of this awesome opportunity so that they can get the first hand exposure working with the armed forces. किसी ने सपने में सोचा था कि वो कभी ना किसी आर्म फोर्सेस ऑफिशियल के साथ या किसी ऐसी फैसिलिटी में जा पाएंगे जहां पर आम आदमी का जाना मना होता है, लेकिन मैंने वो खुद एक्सपीरियंस करा है। ऐसी फैसिलिटी में गया हूँ जो आम जनता के लिए बंद है, लेकिन वहां पर जाकर मुझे जो फीलिंग आई कि नाउ आई एम एन इंटीग्रल पार्ट ऑफ द डिफेंस इकोसिस्टम, so that feeling itself, that is enough to motivate a person. That feeling itself is good enough to make you feel that you have done something meaningful. Then this is about the challenge. Once you visit the website, this is idex.gov.in. Thereafter, there you will see the different tiles, and each tile there is defined by the challenge name. So this is disk 5 open challenge, disk 4. Now it will be showing disk 6 and Idex Prime. Then showcase photographs of the event. So this is the recent photograph of DEF Connect, and where the MOU memorandum of understanding has been exchanged with the venture capital also at this event itself. And the most important part is we received the Prime Minister's Award just last month, and for building the excellence in the defense ecosystem. So our CEO, Sanjay Jajuji, who is the Additional Secretary Defense Production, he received that award by Honorable Prime Minister of India. This is the DIO management. Dr. Ajay Kumar, IES, is the Defense Secretary as well as the Chairman of the Defense Innovation Organization. Then Board of Directors. Then Chief Officer of the organization, Shri Sanjay Jajuji, CEO, DIO. Shri Anurag Bajpai ji, Additional CEO, DIO. COO, Shri Vivek Ramani ji. Advisor, DIO, Shri Mudit Narayan ji. And on the right hand side, we have the team members name. So मेरा नाम भी यहाँ पर आप लोग देख सकते हैं. मैं कहीं और से नहीं आया, DIO से आया हूँ. थोड़ा बहुत मजाक चलता है ना? Okay, so this is the Idex team at the DEF Connect event. And can you play this video?
Just one escape and optimize for. Stop sharing this one.
This is the one.
Yes.
No, yeah, but this is the one we can play.
Don't.
First this 6, then Idex Prime.
No, play this. Select that, and then you can. No, go there, screen. And share.
Yeah.
Please open the video.
This is of Idex Prime.
This is which one?
Idex Prime.
एक और है? No.
Just a minute,
You don't
let me
need to do
find out where the videos are, whether both of them are here. Only one.
So this is the launch video of Disk 6 that we launched recently. So have a look at it, and then you will get a glimpse of what it is all about.
Screen. Okay. Now.
Innovations for Defense Excellence, IDEX. Asmakam Karyani Asman Savadhi Karishyanti. Realizing the vision of Honorable Prime Minister in activating India 2.0 during the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, IDEX is launching the 6th edition of Defense India Startup Challenge. Disc 6 includes a total of 38 challenges from the following companies: Garden Research Shipbuilders and Engineers with 1 challenge, Goa Shipyard Limited with 1 challenge, Mazgaon Dock Shipbuilders Limited with 2 challenges, Bharat Electronics Limited with 3 challenges, BEML with 1 challenge, Bharat Dynamics Limited with 1 challenge.
We have been associated gainfully with IDEX as well as DISC for the past few editions. And for this 6, we have thrown up 3 challenges. On this occasion, I would request all innovators to participate wholeheartedly in this 6th challenge and come up with solutions so that we make the country really Atmanirbhar. Jai Hind, thank you.
The newly formed companies from OFB corporatization, that are Munitions India Limited with 2 challenges, Gliders India Limited with 2 challenges, India Optel Limited with 4 challenges, Troop Comforts Limited with 2 challenges, Armored Vehicles Nigam Limited with 3 challenges, and Yantra India Limited with 2 challenges.
MIL is participating for the first time and has stated 2 problems. I hope that the efforts of IDEX will bring innovative solutions to these problems. Jai Hind.
1 challenge from the Indian Army, 1 challenge from the Indian Navy, 2 challenges from the Indian Air Force, and for the first time, 3 challenges from the Indian Coast Guard.
We have introduced 3 niche ideas under the IDEX scheme. We fully endorse the Honorable Prime Minister's vision for Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat. Jai Hind.
Also, for the first time in IDEX, Ministry of Home Affairs has participated with 7 challenges. These challenges span across a wide range of advanced technologies, including artificial intelligence, advanced imaging and sensor systems, big data analytics, autonomous unmanned systems, secured communications, etc. Inviting startups, MSMEs, individual innovators, research and academic professionals to apply for Disc 6. Selected applicants will get grants up to Rs 1.5 crores along with the opportunity to co-create and co-develop the defense technologies of the future with our armed forces. Besides the grant, selected winners receive product and business acceleration support from IDEX partner incubators. Access to defense facilities for QA and certification. Applications are open at idex.gov.in.
So this was the video of Disc 6. Now we are showing the video of Idex Prime, where we have extended the grant support of up to Rs 10 crore.
To make the country self-reliant and self-sufficient in defense technologies, a progressive step was initiated. IDEX, Innovations for Defense Excellence. Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi in 2018 launched the Idex program, a game changer in the defense ecosystem, with the objective of fostering innovation and incorporating cutting-edge and disruptive technologies in the armed forces in a quick time frame. In the last 3 years, 81 challenges have been hosted, 350 plus ideas have been shortlisted, and grants worth over 88 crores have been allocated to startups and MSMEs under the Idex program. In order to nurture these startups and MSMEs, 14 partner incubators have been onboarded. Defence Acquisition Council clears procurement of 14 items worth over rupees 380 crores from Idex startups MSMEs for armed forces. To further broaden and accelerate the innovation base for Indian defence and deliver quality results in mandated timelines, Idex is launching Idex Prime. The program will offer up to 10 crore innovation grant support along with technical and business development support from the partner incubators.
The Idex initiative has grown from strength to strength. With the launch of Idex Prime today, we will now see defining technologies being developed for our armed forces.
Challenges posed by Indian Army to develop an AI-based UGV for identifying and marking mines in a minefield. Advanced Truss Bridge.
Idex is a novel step contributing to the government's Atmanirbharta initiative and has enabled a conducive ecosystem for young innovators and startups to pursue the development of defense technologies indigenously. And launch of Idex Prime scheme with enhanced financial support will provide added impetus to innovation and indigenization.
Indian Navy challenges. Development of 11-meter all-electric workboat. Automated celestial navigation system.
The Indian Air Force is actively involved in the Idex program and is pursuing several projects under the Defence India Startup Challenge and the Open Challenge. The commencement of the new initiative of Idex Prime will give a boost to innovation and technology development to meet future challenges which are complex and fast changing.
Challenges posed by Indian Air Force. Expendable active decoys. Signals intelligence systems for hilly terrain and high altitude area. Together we can, together we will. Jai Hind.
Yeah, so with this, we are done with the presentation. And thank you so much, everyone. Jai Hind.
Any of you have questions specifically related to the Idex?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You see, what you have done is something really good, but it is nowhere near DARPA of USA. And unless you have a DARPA of India, I think the technological excellence right from the internet to the stealth technology to the, literally dozens of things, which comes out of a 250 lean DARPA operating in USA. This is towards it, but nowhere near. I'm sorry to say.
I think it's a very good beginning.
Yes.
So I think we have to look at it that way. Please also understand that till about 2000s, the government had no mechanism to fund private entities at all. Okay, so it is something which we are making a progress towards. Anyway, any other questions? I think, and please keep it focused questions because we're behind time. Yeah.
What exactly is the evaluation criteria for the open challenge? Was it once a let's say solution is presented, how is it evaluated?
So there are multiple evaluation criteria. So if we talk about that, it depends on the service to service nodal officers also. So if suppose you are proposing a solution which is relevant to any particular nodal officer, so they will have their own pros and cons to assess that particular solution, because the criteria for assessing the project of army may not be applicable to processing the project of Indian Air Force, or for that matter Indian Navy or Indian Coast Guard. So the basic criteria is the fundamental criteria is your problem, your solution should propose a solution which is the burning problem at the services right now. So you have to do R&D work before proposing a solution, whether it is an actual need of those particular service officials or armed forces, then you may propose. Or you may have a one call with us also. You may call me anytime. I'll give you more structured framework also on this, like relevance should be there, effectiveness should be there, outcome should be clearly specified, the cost must be clearly specified, and the time frame must be clearly specified. What support you need from it, that also needs to be clearly spelled out. So all these things that you will have to work upon before giving an open challenge proposal to us.
What is the time frame?
Sir, as of now, it depends upon you that in which time frame you propose a solution and you commit to do that solution. However, we promote the technologies or solution which are doable in a period of 24 months, that is 2 years. So 2 years is the optimum time, because we don't want an bureaucracy in the system that projects are taking 5 years, 10 years or 15 years. We want projects to be completed at a fast paced mode. That is why our grant disbursement model is also on a fast track mode, that we give grant, you need support, take it from anywhere. You need financial support, we are giving. You need some technical support, we will connect you with the concerned authorities. So it is up to you that how much shorten the duration that you can adopt.
Okay, and one more time duration I want to ask is, you are posting an open challenge. Okay, on the time I want to apply for the open challenge, is there is any time frame for that one?
Open challenge are usually the window of open challenge is open 365 days. It's just that the rounds are changing. For example, we have received 500, 600 applications. Then we consider to complete that open challenge. That is, let's suppose open challenge 1. Then we complete that. Then on the next day we launch open challenge 2. The window of open challenge 2 is open because that is open. You are going to propose a solution. So once we have some 400, 500 applications, we collect the data and start shortlisting in further process.
Open challenge is open all throughout. Their review cycles are there.
Yes.
Okay. Which happen periodically. Final question before. Sorry, you go ahead first. I'll just come back.
So once the solution is granted, procurement of that solution, does it go directly to the one who has devised the solution, or it goes to the GEM portal?
No, it does not require to be go on the GEM portal. So if you are already the PDS is given by the armed forces or the nodal officer. So PDS is product definition statement in case of a DISC challenge. And in the open challenge also, the PDS is later on formulated. PDS and PRUs, project requirement unit, that is called PRU. So those are also formulated once you propose a challenge and you are shortlisted in the presentation in front of the committee. So now coming to the procurement, so we have made several arrangements to ensure the procurement is smooth. So that depends upon how quickly you complete that project and the bigger market size for that product. But yes, we will ensure that there are certain things that we are considered. And in fact, before completing the project also, there has been example where the procurement has been done and the project is at its final stage. It's about to complete the last milestone, but we have already procurement has been done.
Final question, but there will be more opportunities for questions. So don't worry, there are others also going to speak. So
you can stay back after the event because Jatin is here with us for some time.
Your question.
So my question is, there would be some interaction required before submitting the proposal, because there would be several applications when a core technology is developed. Okay, we may know a few of them. There might be more burning issues which we might not be aware. So connecting to those kind of right people for brainstorming and then putting a proposal would also, there should be a room for that as well.
Sir, it depends on what exactly is your definition of right people. So if you say you're applying in the open challenge, so open challenge usually at a preliminary level, once we shortlist the application, so all depends on the HPSC committee. Once you propose your solution, there you propose that I can do this if particular guidance is given. So if you say that on each and every case before starting the contract, then it would be a little bit tough. So it would be tough to get the inputs of the Army, Navy, or Air Force before starting of the project, before even you are a winner. So once you are a winner in the HPSC, based on your research, based on your personal sources, the data that you have gathered, or the challenges that you have observed in the armed forces, basis that if you clear that HPSC wala stage, then we can connect you with some people. Now imagine we get daily hundreds of applications, and now we connect hundreds of these application owners to the nodal officer, so it will be a cumbersome task. So that is why some first level shortlisting has been considered to filter out the applications.
I think practically speaking, if you have an idea, propose.
Yes.
And if after the shortlisting happens, you'll have a chance to work on it with the person with the company which has proposed.
In any ways, it is always open. So what is the harm? It is absolutely free. So you can apply and
not
see.
only for the open child. So there are cases where the requirement elicitation is required.
Yeah.
So sir,
that can happen in detail even post.
Sir, for there is in case of disk challenge, the format is different. If it is a disk challenge and the problem definition is already specified by a particular nodal officer or nodal agency, then we have technical outreach session with the challenge owner also. And yes, we have from tomorrow onwards, we are starting the technical outreach session, and soon we will flash the schedule here also. So if you have any doubt pertaining to any particular challenge, then nodal officer will give you that insight, and then you can ask numberless question to that nodal officer if you have any doubt pertaining to that challenge only. In open challenge, it would be hard to connect with any SPOC, but in defined challenge statement, somebody has given, that is why it is defined. So then we connect.
Open challenge challenge.
Okay, I think let's give him a round of applause. Jatin, thank you very much. He's done the important job of keeping you awake also. Now I will request my colleague Shoma to take over. We'll have a quick panel. I think it's a very short panel, so let's keep it brief and just talk, briefly stick to the point, right? So Shoma, over to you. We can invite the speakers. Please go.
Yeah. So we are going to now run the panel for the entrepreneurs and the winners of the DISC challenges. I'm going to listen from them their lessons and experiences of working with the defense project. First, I would like to call Yash Golia. Yash, please come and take seat here. I'll be very brief in the introduction. Their background you can find in the outline. So Yash is founder of Suryodaya Plastic Electronics. He graduated from Technical University of Munich in 2019 with master's degree in communications engineering. And he researched and developed flexible transparent antennas on plastic foils. And after moving back to India in 2021, he found Suryodaya Plastic Electronics to develop the market printed electronics. And his proposal for conformal helmet was declared as DISC 5 winners by Idex DIO 2022. Next on, I would like to call Sai Prasad Poirekar. Is a mechanical engineer with Masters of Design in Mechanical Systems from IIIT-DM Kanchipuram, molded with mechanical engineering backbone, thorough study of users, product, their interaction had converted him into an insightful designer. He was a finalist in Autodesk 3D design competition. He has previously worked with a handful of startups and established companies in new product development. Welcome, Sai Prasad. So as you can see, these are the people. Sorry, I was present in those that event, so I have their photographs, but sorry, I don't have for others. John Mathai is joining us online. John in that screen. He's CEO and co-founder of IROF Technologies Private Limited. He's he's running all facets of the business with a proven track record as lead engineer in Samsung R&D Institute India and firmware engineering Grey Orange Robotics. He had bagged many awards. contracts, funds from many reputed organizations, including GAIL, BPCL. He has a master's in computer technology from IIT Delhi and BTech in applied electronics instrumentation from the College of Engineering, Trivandrum. Airov is the winner of the National Startup Awards 2021, Technology Development Board, Department of Science and Technology, and Most Promising Avionics and Defense Startups of the Year by IESA 2018. Welcome, John. Our fourth panelist is Dr. Vishwas Ramakrishna Woodpecker. He's a managing director of SciComm Software that provides product engineering, software solutions, and products to various industries such as automotive, transportation, FMCGs, industrial goods, pharmaceutical and chemical, arms and defense, and food processing and medical. Dr. Woodpecker has a PhD from Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, and his special interest of areas are strategic electronics, radars, SDR sensors, controllers, electro-optics, industrial automation, machine vision, and video analytics. Welcome, Dr. Woodpecker. We have with us our fifth panelist, John C. George. Yeah. John C. is the CEO of Secumatic Technologies LLP that has built trace explosive detection device jointly with HEMRL. John C. is a technology entrepreneur having industry experience of more than 20 years, started his career in Pune and migrated to the USA where he worked with companies like Agilent Technologies, IBM, Intel Corp. And he also, after coming back to India, he started with several ventures like Oasis Technologies with the embedded systems, Technosolve Systems, and Robo Response LLC. And he aims to make world-class SaaS product. John C. has a bachelor in engineering, electrical electronics, and communications from SSG MC Shegaon. Welcome, John C. You can see we have a great combination of people, just a recent entrant to the startup ecosystem, as well as we have veterans like Dr. Woodpecker as well. So first, I would start with some questions, and the floor will be open to the participants here as well as online, and we'll ask them the questions according to the time. So I would like to request you to take 2 or 3 minutes of each and talk about your company briefly, talk about the defense project you are working, and also talk about the program that you have applied under and in what capacity you are working with the defense establishments. Starting with Sai Prasad, please.
Hi, I am Sai Prasad, founder of Aspen Medical Technologies, and we are working on a medical device, a skin spray gun. It is a portable surgical device for a plastic surgeon for spraying skin on the wounds. It helps to rapidly heal the wounds with just a stamp size skin. Okay, so this is what we are working on, and Idex, I applied under Open Challenge 3.0, which was the last call, and I am selected by the agencies Indian Air Force.
Yeah, so that's your project for the defense, which you are working for under the particular program as well, right?
Right.
Yeah. Sure, thank you. Over to Yash.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Yash Goria, and I'm the founder and director of Suryodaya Plastic Electronics. And we were just 3 months old when we applied for the DISC 5 challenge, and we got selected for Bell's challenge on helmet mount conformal antennas. And I guess what really helped us, since we were not experienced as a startup, was our past experience. So we actually did research on flexible antennas before, so that was really helpful in our application.
Yes.
Yeah, hi, I'm Vishwas from SciComm Software. Actually, Idex schemes are breaking away from traditions, and I'm like an example of that. My company is almost 20 years old and still I'm treated like a startup because I believe there are some ideas and some solutions that are coming that look like first time, so they're startups. So this is a very good thing. It's a big break from tradition. My company works on signal processing applications. So wherever there's signal, we are usually there. Our real critical area of interest is in radars, and challenges so far in this, they were focused on radars, and we applied and we won. And our experience so far is very positive. I think we'll talk more about that. So, thank you.
I would not like to go on to the online. So over to you, John. Talk about your company briefly, and then the project that you are working on, and the programs under the Ministry of Defense that you have applied.
Hope I am audible.
Yes, John, you are very much audible.
Yeah, so very good evening to all. Myself, Johns, I'm from Airov. So we at IROV is an unmanned underwater systems development company. We are basically a marine robotics company developing unmanned solutions for underwater and marine sectors. One of our early product is an remotely operated vehicle. It's an underwater drone, which helps inspection of critical infrastructures, underwater pipelines, and other critical infrastructures in underwater. So with respect to defense, we have already supplied units to Indian Coast Guard. We have worked with a couple of research labs, particularly with respect to DRDO labs. We have supplied ROV units to them. Apart from that, we are also developing a couple of new products also in the unmanned maritime sector, which we are hoping to apply with the Idex program.
Great. Thank you, John. George, John C. Yes, John, so I understand you have not really leveraged any of the funding opportunities like Idex Prime or DISC or something, but you have had a long interaction with the defense establishments. Would you like to just talk about those projects and what has been, what does the company do?
Absolutely. I hope I am clearly audible and possibly visible
because I
have.
Yes,
okay, great. Hello, everyone. My name is John C. George, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Secumatic Technologies LLP. So what we have done is we have jointly developed a product with DIO in the field of explosive detection. So our product is basically an explosive detection device that can detect more than 25 different types of explosives. Yes, as so much as said that, we haven't, procured any funding, or we were not part of Idex or anything similar to get the funding. So the way we did was a bit different. So we came up with the prototype. We kind of initiated some discussion with them. And we just said that, hey, you know what, you have a problem and we have a solution to it. So why don't we just work together? So it started as an unofficial engagement wherein we were the one who were developing the prototype basis the input we got. And yes, they liked the prototype, and ever since the engagement began, this is the 5th year of our engagement as of today. The product is out there in the market. It is currently being evaluated by the Indian Army, the various police forces, including the Telangana Police Force, the JNK Police Force, ATS. So yes, so that is, the product. Without taking much time, I would just go to the subsequent part of the discussion, and I'm open to answer any question that you may have.
Thank you so much, John C. So over to you, Sai Prasad. So my question is that you are developing a healthcare product, right? And traditionally, like we know that how the healthcare product journey takes place. What made you to think of, move on to the defense sector, and what kind of detailing process you have done before you considered applying for the program?
Fine. One thing was there are some like someone from the audience of the talk of DARPA and BARDA. So one of my competitors in the US was supported by BARDA in that development, and I thought, why not? I should also check out with the defense side how this application can be defense. And other part of this, burns and wounds are on large scale in defense. So I was exploring about how I can get engaged with defense, and this is how it came to be like through Idex. So that was from background. I was always thinking to go towards defense, but Idex just happened to be that platform connecting a startup with defense. Yeah.
Sure. Yash, to you, the question is that since you are just starting with your business, right? So what made you think through that the defense should be the first target market? And secondly, again, the same question, like what kind of preparations or detailing that you had done before applying to that? Also give us a little bit sense of how the selection process was. What is your experience of how easy it was, how complex it was? You can give some insights to that.
Sure. Thanks for the question. So So we started a startup for making printed electronics, and with our background in antennas, so the main advantage printed electronics gives is flexibility. And there was a challenge in DISC 5, which exactly matched what we could do. And that's why we applied for the DISC 5 challenge. And luckily we got selected. So coming to the selection process, so firstly, you have to give your PPT and your proposal. And once it gets shortlisted, you'll be invited for an HPSP meeting, which was held online for us because of the coronavirus restrictions. And there, you're supposed to very in detail, technically, discuss your solution and prove why you can do it. Because IDEX in the end will be investing a lot of time as well as money in your project. So they should feel that there's a high chance that you will be able to deliver the product. So the main focus should be on the technical viability and why you can do it. So any past experience, like any research papers, if you're a researcher, or past projects if you're from the industry.
Sure.
That's what I recommend.
Yes,
I'd just like to add one thing. Since there were a few questions on open challenge, so since my case was different, it was open challenge. They did not had any problem statement related to this. So what has helped me was reading about defense accidents or whatever is happening in defense, whatever challenges, just an open literature on the internet. And that's how I came to know, like, this is a scenario where this is affecting, and this is a whole scenario from the beginning to last. How much time a person is getting injured, what are the losses happening. That was very easy for me to explain to the nodal officer, like Indian Air Force. So this is a scenario. If you had this solution, the scenario will be this. Are you interested? And that was one of the things. And during my HPSC, like the committee, there was some technical professors from institutes, from maybe some like Institute of National Importance. There were technical persons, since it is a medical side of my thing. So there were doctors from the defense sides, and also there were some civilians from a civilian side. Also there was someone from a tissue side. So there were like 3-4 people, like 3-4 groups were there who was asking me questions about that. And it was also online, and it went for like half an hour. So that's it.
So Dr. Udvika, the question to you would be that, you mentioned that you are here for 20 years and you already have products developed for various industries. At what point you thought that you should have a product for defense, or you already were developing something and that's when you interacted with them, or which came first, that is challenge was there, or you had already started working on
for us, defense came.
Okay.
So coming out of IIT, I always wanted to do something on signal processing. And obviously the first application we did was the radar, and that's most typically used in defense. So we started with defense, and our traditional model of working was go to DRDO and handhold with them for the development of a major system, where we ended up doing a small part of it. And this went on for almost 20 years. And we were happy doing it. We have done almost a few hundred kind of indigenous solutions which DRDO is using in many systems. But launch of IDEX, we got first opportunity to actually go to the end user.
Okay.
DRDO is always kind of it's an in-between layer, and we don't have any access to the end user, direct access. So this is the main reason. And Dr. V.K. Rai did a similar outreach, I think 2019 in Pune University, and I had a chance to attend that. And that really triggered it, and we applied. And as I said, in this 3 challenge where we applied, there was a requirement for radar. And I was actually quite amazed that this is a challenge still, because we knew that these things can be done. We've been doing such things in the past. So we applied in the first shot. So that's in short why we got towards this. I feel this model is much better. There is skin in the game of the innovator as well as IDEX DIO, and this makes the difference.
So if you could also tell us, like, when people want to approach the defense establishment, you said that you had been working with DRDO. So how was your experience, right? Like, straight away you went to them, they entertained you, or what are the preparations you had to do before approaching them?
When we started, things were pretty tough. So that's why I always like to say there's a big break from tradition now. Many of you would have gone to ARD or seen ARD here or HAMRL, which is just about a few kilometers from here. From the gate to go to the scientist you want to meet, that itself is a process. So first time I did that, I thought, like, I'll have to walk something like 2 to 3 kilometers every day if I have to come to this establishment for interactions with them. So it is tough. It was tough. But first time, again, you're seeing, you saw whatever he showed on the internet, it's on the web, So that perceived confidentiality and we can't talk about it is not. In late 90s when we started, there used to be so much confidentiality that you can't talk to anyone. And that's one of the reasons my company is not so well known, because we don't talk about it. So this has changed. So it used to be difficult. It's easy. We approach defense, I think, Again, old IIT connections helped when I was in IIT Madras. I did a project for IRD then. And with that, actually, I got my first contract also from Dehradun as a company. That's how it started and just grew. Almost every DRDO lab here.
So I think the key point is a connection always, helps. Yes, you cannot just directly approach them and they'll interfere.
Other than the radar connection is the human connection.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, over to you, John. Like your experience in applying for the program and the connects that you have developed of being part of defense ecosystem and how it has helped you advance your journey as a business, right?
Yeah, so telling my experience with the defense sector, our first breakthrough all came actually from one of the defense lab. Like the previous speaker was telling, we got the first order from NPOL, Naval Physical Oceanographic Laboratory from Cochin. They were the first ones to place an order for our underwater vehicle when we had competitors from US and European companies. They had taken the risk, and at that time we haven't even developed the product. We had a prototype, but they had taken the risk and placed an order on us. At that time, it was way back in 2018 where we delivered the first unit to that. Post that, I think many of the DRDO labs came forward and supported us. Like very recently, we supplied to another DRDO lab 2 units, which again was a big order to them. And now we are discussing multiple projects with multiple DRDO labs actually. So for with my experience, DRDO labs has been a very good experience for IRO as a company for the last 3 to 4 years. And we also got a chance to even supply 1 unit to Indian Coast Guard also. Where they have deployed our unit in Nicobar Islands for our vessel surveys and training the divers. That just happened in 1 year back. It took a little more time, but once they got to know the project and the product, understood the features, they procured it very fastly actually. Apart from that, we are also now in discussion with Navy also for prospective applications. Even we had worked along with Navy and various disaster organizations for a couple of search and rescue operations in water areas actually. So looking forward to working with the defense forces in future. And I'm also happy that many of the technologies which were being imported previously are now being planned by Indian government to develop indigenously in the country itself. So that's a good initiative.
Great. So John, I have one question here that you mentioned that you have developed so many different kind of solutions for different services, right? So do you plan to grow like that? I'm sure you also have products for the other commercial businesses as well. So how the things are different, working with defense versus working with other commercial establishments?
Yeah, so defense, obviously, as other speakers have mentioned, there is an initial inertia to that, and it takes a little bit time to build the credibility and to build that relationship. So once that is built, then it becomes a little more easier to sell to defense organizations. But as I said, to go through some of the DRDO labs would be a little more easier. And then Idex is a very good platform because as the program itself has earmarked around 1,000 crores for procuring from the selected startup, that itself is a good initiative. Compared to organizations, commercial organizations, there are multiple factors which will come into play where the economics, pricing, all those comes into factor. Whereas defense, it is more about reliability and the quality of the product. Definitely there will be pricing, but not that concerned to a commercial organization actually. I think the product should work as reliable and should be, it is used by the defense forces, so that it has to be very reliable. So that is what I would have seen as a difference with working with commercial organizations. Slightly the timing and I would say time to procure is a little bit higher on side, but definitely the order value size would be also on a high side once the defense come into play.
The use case has to be very strongly validated in the defense cases. That's what you're trying to say as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, over to Johnsy. Johnsy, that I would like to understand from you that in the question that I had to Johns, that you are also working for defense establishments as well as to other industrial projects as well. What is your experience in working with the two, and is there any conflict that you find while you are developing on similar kinds of technology platforms? And the second question is that, working with defense, has it opened new doors for you, new opportunities, new connects, or more credible kind of, background that you are able to now approach to people?
Okay, so let me start with the first one. Yes, so we have a vertical which is focusing on the defense, and we have a vertical which keeps us going, I must say that, which is basically some industry projects. Because when you engage with the defense sector, I mean, for example, in our case, we have engaged, this is our 5th year of engagement. Things don't happen overnight here, right? So while the prospect is very bright, you have a lot of opportunities here. Working with one DRDO lab opens up avenues for other DRDO labs, even that is equally true. Having said that, it's not that, for a startup, it takes time to build, one, the repo, two, to understand the whole market, and three, start interacting with customer, because you have to understand when you work with defense, especially organizations like DRDO, they are not your end customers. So they are only the facilitators, right? You can jointly develop a product or a technology with them, or you can, develop something for them. They in turn will introduce you to the market. So our engagement was such that DRDO was our partner, and we entered into a very lengthy partnership wherein we jointly developed a product and then we, took it to the market. So the advantage of this relationship was they told us the problem statement. We came up with a prototype, and then they kind of polished, and then they said that, this is what is exactly expected from the target audience. It did not end there. They introduced us to the end customer. For example, the Indian Army, the various police forces, which otherwise we would not have had any access to. For example, to talk to the Indian Army, it has to come from the very top. We don't know whom to talk to. Maybe we will have some local contacts, but it doesn't end there. You have to go all the way to the top at times for your product to get accepted by them, right? So DRDO helped us with that, and they continue to do that. They continue to help us in many ways, and which is a part answer to your second question as well. So in what ways it did open up, right? So DRDO, as I said, it did open up many avenues within defense sector. So now we know a lot of problems out there, and I can see there's a huge demand supply gap in terms of problem and solution. So which is basically the forum is precisely all about. There are a lot of problems that the defense sector is facing. I would definitely encourage startups to go out there, talk to people, because it has to start from relationship building. Don't expect the system to work for you from day one. System is very, very important. To understand the system is very important, but you have to start with people. You have to start with relationship. You have to identify those right people, if at all possible, or go through some connect, build a repo with them. Then slowly and steadily they will open up, and then you can start with the engagement. Eventually you will be introduced to the system, and you simply cannot bypass the system. When I say that, when you kind of engage with defense sector, there is a certain system and process in place. You just can't bypass that, right? So what DRDO helped us was basically open up avenues. They introduced us to many customers. In fact, the beauty of this whole relationship is, if you ask me, when it comes to marketing, we did not have to do much. I mean, it's like, they were customers who we were introduced to, and they kind of ended up, getting in touch with DRDO. DRDO introduced us to them, and now we are kind of engaging them, in some or the other way. So yes, now coming back again to the first question, we have this vertical which is, focusing on projects and things like that. That is required because as a startup, you can't expect revenue to happen in the first 6 months, 1 year, max 2 years. I mean, I understand these days most startups are eager to make their first dollar or first rupee for that matter within the first year. It does not happen in this sector. You have to really wait. Sometimes, the wait could be nothing less than 3 years, or it could go all the way to 5 years as well. So you have to have your show continue, running. So make sure that whenever you engage with defense sector or any such entities, armed forces, paramilitary forces, or whatever that is, make sure that you have a backup. Either you start with a funding like Idex, TDF, or one of those, or make sure that you have a certain cash flow which is going to back up, your such kind of initiatives. Yeah. So I hope I've.
Thank you so much for those inputs. Thank you very much. So in the interest of time, we probably would be wrapping this session, and I'll close with 1 or 2 quick maybe tips and pointers for the people who are planning to apply. Any questions from the audience that you wish to ask our panel? Anybody planning to apply? Any other questions? Yeah, please, Ashish, go ahead.
So how's the payment cycle like? Because startups have very little ability to handle accounts receivables, right? I don't know. Many times with never dealt with defense, but with government, it may take time. So,
is it for the grant or for the purchase after that?
I guess purchase after that.
Yeah, that's a different question.
Okay.
I think we are talking about the grant, right? Some of them will have to discover that. But I think, as Jatin said, they are arranging, if you are successful in your product development and the party which has put up the challenge is happy with the product, you have a direct route to purchase. Okay. So I think one last question. Yeah. Please keep it real focused. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
My question is to Vishwas sir. Since my background has been from academics and my company is EduTech company, so question is related directly to education and academics. How your company assists the defense academic organizations and is useful to the Jawans and the engineers who are coming out of government area. Since my experience has been with College of Engineering, I had.
Sure. Yeah, I think his question is probably Jatin. Do you think there will be opportunities under open challenge for EdTech kind of solutions or education related technologies?
If the end user is rightly proposed, then it may definitely help. But if you are also confused about the end user and the exact problem of the end user, then it will be hard to crack that application. So if your end user is defined and you have some specific study or some data to define the problem that the end user is facing, then I think it has higher chance to get selected.
Can I just add a line to that? I also have academic background. So before I came out of IIT Madras, started this company, I was a faculty member. So it's quite, I mean, if you have an idea and if you have some kind of, vision and passion in the technology, you will definitely find applications. I believe in one of the challenges in this 6, there is something about training. So it's training of the team and staff and things like that. So I'm pretty sure that EdTech technologies would find good solutions, good requirements.
It depends on the type of content that you have. You can approach ATRAC as Army Training Command because they're handling all the what we call Category A establishments and training centers of the Army. Now, the training content is also very highly centralized over here. It's very diverse, but it's centralized because a lot of things are taught across various institutions. The same thing. So if you have instructions on how to launch a bridge or how to breach a minefield, techniques basically, using certain types of equipment, that is taught throughout the Army in the same manner. So you can't sell it to only one organization or customize it to only one organization. It has to be pan-Army, and only people who are dealing with it is ATRAC. You have to approach ATRAC for that. Again, it depends whether you're providing content or you're providing a search engine or learning engine.
Thank you. I think you got your answer. So with that, we should close.
Yeah, we should close. Just maybe quick last remarks on any tips and pointers for people who are trying to apply. Maybe very quickly.
So
topmost suggestions. One thing, just when I was applying for any government bodies, there are some rules and regulations. So one thing here is that there are a bit of professionalism, how the letter should, your document should be not like a research paper. I like to tell you, it should be more as a company documents. How when you are letter dates and you write for systematic purpose, it should be clear to the whom you are writing, why you are writing, what is the cause. It should be more clear in that. And the second thing is always get as much as data of a defense, how much you can get it. So it is very easy from a perspective of defining your problem and solution particular to that data. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. Yes.
The key tip I would give is that just highlight why you would be your startup would be the best person. I mean, the best one to do it. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think since we are at Venture Center, which is a PI in Idex scheme, I'll talk about a little bit about PI experience. And I think as IDEX applicants, it will be very good to select the PI and use their due diligence, their services and their support in the best possible way. For both our radar projects, we have signed in IIT Bombay as our PI. And they have got a Samir, which is a radio frequency technology organization in IIT Bombay campus as our mentors. So this combination has worked very well. And I think it's a tribute to IDEX DIO to think of something like this and make this mentorship available to the startups developing the technologies. So this is a very important point, and I think Venture Center has a great future bringing this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Johns, you have a quick point on that?
Yeah, so with respect to IDEX application, I would like to suggest the applicants to think from the end user perspective, how you can present in a better way and show the credibility. Like if you have built some similar systems and you have proven, that should be a good validation for them to accept your application. And secondly, you should also have a matching funds to contribute. So if you have 1.5 crores, you will have to put up a 1.5 crores against that. So if you can also show how you will fund the remaining portion also with good, that would be also good for the application.
I think we missed talking about that, how you are interacting.
Elephant in the room.
Yeah, Jatin had to speak about it.
No problem. Yeah, thank you, Johns. And Johnsy, I think we got good suggestions as you spoke last time. So we'll just, wrap up over here. Thank you so much to all our panel members that you could take out time and be here in person. Please give a round of applause for them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you hand over a small token of appreciation for them, please? Thank you, Johnsy. Thank you, Johns, for taking your time out and coming here to join us for this panel discussion. Thanks a lot.
Thank you all.
By the way, these are always startup products that we do. Okay, these are our own startups. Thank you. Our company's products in Amazon, so you can other than the virtual one. I think those we'll have to do separately. So
We'll start with the second panel discussion for the defense expert panel. For that, I would like to call upon first Dr. Shankar Subramanian. He's the Air Commodore. Dr. Shankar online? Yeah, sure. So he is the former professor and head of the Department Internal Medicine at Armed Forces Medical College in Pune. He's a graduate of the Armed Forces Medical College. He did his post-graduation in internal medicine from same place and was the university gold medalist. Subsequently, he obtained his doctoral in clinical immunology from AIIMS, New Delhi. He was past editor-in-chief, Indian Journal Rheumatology. He has 111 publications in various reputed national, international journals, including Nature. He is a winner of several academic and research awards, including the ICMR's prestigious Emerson Oration Award in 2019. He has a keen interest in autoimmune diseases, molecular genetics, proteomics, economics, mathematical modeling, and biostatistics. Very diverse interest area, I must say, Dr. Shankar. We have a panelist, Commodore V. Vishwanath. Commodore Vishwanath is an electronics engineer with more than 31 years of experience in the electrical branch of the Indian Navy. During his service, he has varied experiences in the Indian Navy and DRDO in areas of equipment development, ship construction, electrical systems design, submarine construction, operations, ship signature management, and policy formulation. He has closely worked with the Indian industry while developing equipment for the country's strategic submarine program and as general manager planning and production of the prestigious submarine construction yard. He is an alumnus of the Naval War College, wherein he underwent flagship naval higher command course and has also undergone the higher defense orientation course with officers of the Indian Armed Forces and friendly foreign countries at the Army War College. He holds master's degree in financial management from Jawaharlal Bajaj Institute of Management Studies and MPhil in military studies from Mumbai University. Welcome to you, Commodore Vishwanath.
Thank you, Dr. Shankar.
Yeah, thank you. Abhishek Jain, he is the Chief Business Officer, Zeus Numerics. Abhishek, please come and hold the seat. He holds a master's degree in technology from Indian Institute of Technology, IIT Bombay, with aerodynamics as specialization. He has been associated with Zeus Numerics in many technical managerial roles since its inception. He is a Center for Military Airworthiness and Certification certified engineer for design of propellers, fans, technical documentation, and aerodynamics. He's a product manager for Fan ZTM software for the aerodynamics and structural design of large axial fans, usually used in the power plants, data centers, furnaces for cooling tower application. He has made more than 15 technical managerial contributions to reputed conferences and magazines. He has organized more than 25 workshops in CFD and other simulations, delivered lectures in technical business conferences. Interesting, very interesting. The last part is very interesting. He's one of the 10 innovators to meet Defense Secretary in USA and winner of Lockheed Martin Innovation Medal and various other awards. He's a founding chairman of SIDM Startup Forum and most importantly, mentor to multiple startups. So he has a very, very interesting background. He'll be able to give us a lot of inputs from both the sides. And last but not least, I would like to invite Colonel Ashish Ramdas. He's the officer in charge for Regional Technology Note. He's a versatile high energy professional with 35 years of experience in Indian Army, with experience in senior level assignments in human resource management, general administration, logistics, supply chain management, and IT projects. He has a BTech Electronics Telecommunication, Masters in Defense and Strategic Studies, Diploma in Advanced Computing, and Advanced Diploma in Industrial Relations, Personnel Management, Advanced Diploma in Journalism. I would also like to invite Jatin to take seat here as a panelist here. Of course, I'd like to invite Dr. Premnath, who is going to moderate the session. He's obviously the founder, director of Venture Center and head NCL Innovations in CSIR NCL, and he's a technology enthusiast and he's a mentor to various startups in Venture Center. So welcome to all of you.
Thank you. Thanks. First of all, my apologies to all the participants. We are a little behind, especially to people joining in from different parts as well. But we'll try and keep it, it's a short session. We'll try and keep it very focused. I want to first request each of you to give some opening remarks. And the topic that I want to request is to tell us how innovators need to think about, if at all, differently about technologies they are building for the defense compared to, say, technologies which they would otherwise be building for other commercial markets. So I think I'll start with Dr. Shankar. And Dr. Shankar, you can also consider talking about a little bit of one other theme, which is, I'm always told that in the defense, at least the problem definitions are very clear. Sometimes when we look at commercial problems and commercial industries, a lot of time entrepreneurs spend in trying to understand the need and trying to find out product market fit. So I'll maybe over to you, Dr. Shankar. I can start first because I think you also are, whether Dr. Shankar has been advising us for our committees as well, especially technologies for rehabilitation and so on. So he's the right person to talk about that as well. Please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Premnath. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible and visible. Yes.
Oh, great. Okay. I think for all the entrepreneurs, I think defense provides a very unique and a different opportunity. And like you said, I'm only going to focus on the things which we are different from others. So I suppose that our differences come in 3-4 different ways. Number one is that our deployment is in all far-flung areas. So, starting from we operate in the deserts, we operate in the mountains, we operate in tropical areas. So especially if you're looking at any kind of a challenge, you would have to cater for things like it has to be operated in the absence of your electricity. It would have to have a, for example, if you're looking at a healthcare problem, then you would have to figure out how it can be done. What can be done in Apollo Hospital, Delhi? Would you be able to do it in the, say, if a person has got a gunshot wound and you have to treat it, would it be easier? How is it be possible to do that? Would you be able to do it in the deserts of Rajasthan? So your context is very different. So you have to cater for that. That is number one. The second thing would be that any equipment which you land up supplying, how would you be able to, you would have to have a channel of logistics. I suppose that you would have to, cater for maintaining it. Sometimes you find a problem that you purchase equipment or something and, the line of maintenance sometimes becomes a problem. The third thing would be if you're going to look specifically at, let us say, a healthcare type of a stuff, I think it offers you ample opportunities. A very simple stuff is, I think we are a little monolithic organization. We are possibly the largest elephant, So the thing is that there is a lot of actually scope for improving tons and tons of processes. So those of you who have got a very strong background in software technology, artificial intelligence, etc., can actually land up improving the productivity in different ways, because of the very fact that at a million plus strong and so widely spread out, I think we do land up providing opportunity just by improving our processes. You can actually, we would be very happy if some young mind can come in. Like we ourselves are involved in doing certain improvements in healthcare delivery using AI, etc. But I suppose that it's easier, and the youngsters can think in a better way. I also believe that there is lots of opportunity lying in improving the various medical equipments. So, the thing is that I'll just give an example. For example, I just got a patent in my name on development of a low-cost osmometer. Now, osmometer is a kind of equipment which is tests for something as like a urine sodium, but the equipment costs about, say, 8 to 10 lakh rupees, and each test costs about 2 to 3,000. So as a doctor, when I sat with my friends and said, why should this equipment cost so much? I was quite surprised that the technology it was used is still about a 20-year-old technology. So just by rethinking the technology and thinking from first principles, we were able to come up with a proof of concept for a prototype which could be developed in about less than 1 lakh rupees, and which can do each test in, say, about 50 rupees. It uses, of course, a combination of osmosis, semi-permeable membrane, and laser technology, 3-4 things together. But what I'm saying is that if people like us who are oldies can think, then I think you people can think better. So I feel that this is not only for armed forces, but also there are a lot of equipment which we believe, we just borrow it from the West. And when we start analyzing the equipment and ask, why is this equipment priced at 15 lakh rupees? And you start challenging the whole concept of it, and you, like they say, you start thinking of first principles, you realize that you can actually redesign it from scratch at a marginal price. So I think broadly, these are the 5-6 directions which I would suggest. A, medical equipment. B, improved productivity in various ways, especially using the power of technology, software, use of AI in it. The 3 would be catering for the same things to be done in difficult terrains and a difficult context, and handling unique illnesses which we handle. I think these are the 3-4 directions which I would like to suggest.
Yeah, and from what you say, it looks like if you have a winning product for the defense, you have a winning product for the rest of the world as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in a meeting right now. Just wait there.
Okay, so I'll move on to Commodore Vishwanath. I wanted to request you to draw upon your experiences from, various activities you've done with shipbuilding, submarines, and so on and so forth, and also a lot of vendor development, working with partners in the civilian world who have been serving, say, needs of especially the Navy. Do you want to comment on what are the real differences that you see between how, say, a typical IT or electronics or a construction major would treat a problem in the civilian world versus the defense world? And are there some pointers for how our innovators and entrepreneurs should think differently when they're dealing or defining or dealing with problems in the defense forces?
Okay, good evening to you all. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah, you're audible and visible.
Thank you. I think Commodore Shankar did bring out some of the aspects of the requirement of working differently in the defense environment. He was focused more on the health aspect, but they are by and large applicable across the board. The first point, as he brought up, was about working in a difficult environment. The armed forces, whether it is the Army, Navy, Air Force, or for that matter, the Coast Guard, you're operating under very, very difficult conditions. Say, for example, let's take an example of a submarine. Now a submarine is capable of being underwater for 60 days, even 90 days. But do you expect the person there to have an unreliable system which he should be repairing it at sea? No, I think that's important to understand the Jawan, the sailors who are in the field, to be able to understand them and give them a product that they will really enjoy working with and not struggle with maintaining it at sea or in the deserts, or for that matter in the mountainous regions or Siachen. Second important issue which I'd like to bring out is the stringent quality requirements which have been drawn up over the years by the armed forces for their products. These requirements help you in developing products which can be spun off in the commercial world as well, in a much better and more reliable performance-wise. Also, you must remember that each of the entrepreneurs who are here, you may be experts in your field. You're doing an excellent job, you know your subject, but the domain knowledge or the understanding that is required of the specific requirement in the service, the area that you should focus on very deeply. For example, an equipment working in a submarine or in a ship will be working in a marine environment. Now, there are special requirements. Say, for example, a pump developed in Pune for a commercial establishment will not be sufficient, especially if it is going to be working at a depth of, say, 100, 200 or 300 meters. So that understanding of the equipment from the domain perspective is the area that the entrepreneurs should be focusing on when they're working with the defense services. Also, in the environment that the defense forces work, special requirements of density of the equipment which are operating in that region would throw in special challenges. So issues like EMI, which do not find too much of attention in the commercial world, have to be looked at very closely, and look at EMC or electromagnetic compatibility systems so that the product works well in a dense environment. Also, I'd like to bring out that when you're dealing with, say, the DRDO, or for that matter, with the public sector undertakings, Mr. Jatin brought out that they are customers. I agree with him to the extent that they're customers for Idex, but the final customer is the Jawan on ground, and that product has to meet his or her requirement there. That is an area where interaction at some stage with the people on the ground would greatly help you in developing a product that is finally usable by them. Right? Talking of vendor development, having worked across the country with more than 50 odd OEMs and vendors, I feel each one of them is an expert in their field. And this area of understanding the domain and the domain requirements are the issues that take focus when you're dealing with products of this kind. Your interaction closely with them will help you bring out some really nice products. So I believe that entrepreneurs of those who are interested in getting into the defense area could look at these areas, and I'm sure it will have rich dividends. They'll have rich dividends, which is going to benefit them in the long run. And as one of the entrepreneurs brought out, having your cash flow moving through commercial operations while working on or starting off with the defense development is a good way to begin your work, for it will help you in the long run.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot. I think I'll move on to Abhishek now. Abhishek, I'll just come because I thought since you have been working with the Colonel is actually also good. I hope we can comment on some of the IT related things also. So I wanted to keep those comments as well for you. Abhishek, since you have been working for a long time with defense, right, and different projects, and steadfastly Zeus Numerics has stayed the course, working with so many different organizations. I wanted you to comment also on the same themes, which is, what did you find different, right? The other thing is, as an entrepreneur, there's always this pressure, right, to look at all these other commercial markets. And of course, you must be doing that as well. How do you strike a balance between them? How do you keep the focus on some of the defense markets? Besides, of course, all the commercial markets that you're looking at as a company?
So first is defense is a little bit different from commercial in terms of two main things. One is discipline, one is common sense. And I think anybody who does not have common sense or discipline would not survive in this market. So what happens is, I have many examples, but some simple things I would tell you. So I would call somebody, he would ask my name Abhishek, and he wants to contact me further, but he says my name is Abhishek in the telephone directory. And now, like in dogs, it is Tommy, and Abhisheks are so many. Yeah. So now the problem is, the next time he wants to call me, he does not know what to do. Then he goes to my website, calls up the main board number, and then my person has to come running to give me the phone. Can you not say Abhishek Jain Zeus Numerics? So I thought, okay, let me make it easier for him. Now, whenever somebody asks me my number, I'll send a WhatsApp with a V card which says Abhishek Jain Zeus Numerics. Good. There's one guy who was even better. He clicked on that card, did not save it, noted down the number by pen, then closed that card, and then typed that entire number and called me up. So Idex has lots of projects on artificial intelligence. I think they should also have some projects on natural stupidity. So that's one. Similarly, common sense. So, for example, the Idex scheme, it has 129 pages, very nicely written document of how grants would be given, when they would be given, what should be given, and what is catered for, what is not catered for. But invariably, whichever meeting you go, those same questions which are already written come in. Because what has happened to the startups nowadays, and I feel sorry to say this, but I'll say this, there is a sense of entitlement in the youngsters now that I am a startup, I am working for the country, so it's country's responsibility to do everything for me. In fact, I was in a meeting where the previous Raksha Mantri ji was having a meeting with innovators, and some of the people were talking like as if it was her responsibility to maintain the company. So humility is a big problem. If you don't have humility, don't enter the sector, because you would find people very humble here. Like my intern, first day on job, and she went to RTN, meet sir, and brigadier sir asked, "Kya piti ho?" She said, "Chai, coffee nahi piti, Bonvita piti." And he was so kind enough, wo bulaya, "Madam, Bonvita piti, lekar aao." This is the kind of humility, and if you are different, या आपको लग रहा है entitlement वाले लोग बहुत लाड साहब हो तो आप नहीं टिको. So that is also the case now. You asked me, and one more thing I want to point out. So Idex presentations, you are given 5 minutes. Invariably, people would start first by lecturing the army on how army is. So so you are from infantry. I would tell you the problems that you have in infantry. So I was meeting ADB chief, and he said, when you go to startup forums, please don't adult us. Yeah. Why should you tell us my own problem? I have lived that problem. You have not even seen Leh and Ladakh, and you are telling me what is high altitude. Yeah. And so this is one problem. Then second problem with people who are educated in good institutes, and especially in institutes which are from foreign countries, they want to have 5 slides on I am the best. I came from this institute in US or this in UK or in IIT. And then entire 5 minutes is gone only praising himself. And now there's a time limitation because there are 10 more applications to be seen. So can you please make a presentation of only 6 slides and not 60 slides, of which 30 are on how good you are? Everybody knows you are good, okay. But we don't need to listen to that. We need to listen to what technology you are in. Can you have 6 slides? And can you also practice it? Steve Jobs, the best marketing person in the world, used to practice his presentations before the product launch. Do you think you are better than him? I give so many lectures at practice. I write my notes. I make presentations. And these newbies come and say, I know everything. Don't worry, sir. I know everything. So this is a big problem. Now, second is the balance question. I had more points, but I'll leave it at that. Yeah. The balance question is, that it's also about your own nature. So my colleagues, my professor, they were always fascinated by aerospace. Whether it gives more money or less money was a little less of a concern. But the fascination that, so like he said, you have gone to places which never seen. So I went to a lab in Chandigarh. There was a private lake inside. You can't imagine a lake inside the laboratory. And after the test, when you are tired, you can at least sit there. So we felt good about developing those facilities. So we are here. But whatever technologies can be reused in from defense to commercial, we do that. But the main focus where we push for more projects remains defense. That is just nature. I don't think there is some kind of concoction why we are doing this.
I think in your case, given your modeling and all of that expertise, you get the most challenging problems from the defense, right?
So, so modeling was something that we used to do a long time back. Unfortunately, we are still labeled like that. Now we are making products. But what happens is, when you understand the problem, then you really feel that, oh, ye to socha nahi tha. And then you get a kick out of it. So simple problems like everybody of you must have bought ready-made packed foods from market which you put in boiling water and ate on that food. Okay, who developed that technology? It was Defense Food Research Laboratory in Mysore. Why? Because in high altitudes, other places, where will you find the fuel to cook food and khansama to make it? So you pack it, warm it and eat it, right? Now, if you see MTR or other packets, in very small font at the back, it is written, technology sourced from Defense Food Research Laboratory. So we may not feel that as a problem, but and there are many other problems which I would not like to give many examples, but they are really challenging and they really, okay, aisa bhi hota hai. So for GPS, we got now Idex project for making an 81mm mortar which has to travel 4-5 kilometers and then hit something which is only 5 or 10 meter kind of target. Now people say, okay, GPS laga denge ho jayega. But what is the frequency of GPS? क्या वो GPS इतने heavy mortar में चलेगा? Then when you are coming out of the barrel, 5,000 G load, would that GPS even take that load? So what will you do with that GPS? So this is the last point I want to make. Whatever policies, governments, initiatives, etc., that all are good, but they can never replace Newton's law. So his first slide was Newton apple hitting on the head. No, don't replace policy with Newton's law. First, have your technology right, everything else would fall in place. You people are more privileged. When I started in 2004, even startup word was not there. And my father was a defense accountant, pure Sarkari army. He was like almost in a heart attack scenario that, boss, ye kya kar rahe ho? Itna acha job chhod ke kahan ye nayi company mein ja rahe ho? So, वो प्रॉब्लम आपको नहीं है. सरकार बहुत ज्यादा मदद कर रही है. टेक्नोलॉजी ठीक रखोगे आपको बहुत इज्जत मिलेगी. टेक्निकल ठीक नहीं होगा, बहुत बोलोगे तो कोई आपको इज्जत नहीं देगा. So you have to improve that.
Okay, great. I think I'll move to Colonel Ramdas. First of all, thank you very much, sir, for coming. And I wanted to actually, besides the questions which I asked, there'll be several people here who come from the IT side, electronics, and so on and so forth. So I wanted you to also request you to talk a little bit about the opportunities in that space, and also the challenges when it comes to working for the defense, because there are very attractive themes of cybersecurity and so on and so forth, which people might be working on in different domains. How can they contribute to what you're doing today in the defense as well? And what are those challenges and what are those opportunities? Of course, please also address the same points, which is how do you see them as different, right, from what they might be dealing with in the commercial side?
I'll briefly touch upon the IT side. I'm Colonel Ramdas. I'm in the Regional Technology Node here at Pune. The IT side is, again, like all our projects are centrally driven. They're driven by the Army Software Development Center in Delhi and the Directorate General of Signals, also in Delhi. The DGIS, that means the Army Software Development Center, handles the application level, and the Signals branch handles the backbone communications level. And all our projects have to be very lean. And bandwidth shy. We can't have heavy applications with heavy graphics, high bandwidth applications running over the Army internet, because these applications also run side by side with voice communications and other forms of data communications. And all our, of course, like we have multiple DR sites also for all our applications. We have the question of proprietorship also. The ownership and the rights will rest with the Army after you develop it for the armed forces. They have to be compatible. I won't say open source. We can use proprietary software also for this, but we are tending to go towards open source applications. That's as far as the software side goes. Of course, it's basically we're dealing with 3 domains. That's operational information systems, your MIS, management information systems, to deal with personnel equipment, and your another thing is GIS, geographic information systems. And eventually we want to transform all our maps into the GIS platform. Getting synergy between these platforms and having them run in a tactical scenario, partly online, partly offline, is also a challenge. Because we have something called CNR, Compact Net Radio. In all our places, in the border areas, we don't have lines. It's all on VHF, HF, and UHF radio communications. So if you develop any application, they should be able to run on those. Coming to what my these officers from the Air Force and Navy have also touched upon about our operating environment. Certain anecdotes I'd like to give you. Whereas in Leh, in the winters, we were there last year before last. There, even your printers don't work because they freeze. Can you imagine printers freezing? Food, of course, freezes, but printers also freeze. Your water, before it has a chance to get hot, it evaporates. You can't even make tea because in lukewarm water, it just starts evaporating. Coming to the weather conditions again, what we are looking at here is Southern Command, maybe part of Southern Command. We are looking for equipment which can operate in dusty, extreme weather conditions, like in the deserts, in the run of Kutch and coastal areas also. The naval officers touched upon the peculiarities of coastal areas. In addition to weaponry, we also want to focus on new solutions to communications, digital communications, the day and night surveillance, mobility, air defense, even administrative and logistic issues like power supply, ammunition storage, habitat for extreme climates, where again an officer mentioned that we don't have electricity. We would like you to address even power solutions for using renewable energy for our border areas. Another thing what we keep looking at, going away from the software side, is that 3D printing of spares. Like this war between Russia and Ukraine, the American efforts to monopolize the situation, we don't want to be caught off guard and have to conserve our resources and have them become obsolescent in the bargain. So we'd like to invite you to prepare indigenous solution for spares. Coming to the rules of engagement, the ones that already exist are the direct response to tenders, which are issued through RFIs, RFPs, and expression of interest. Make routes, make 1, make 2, make 3, you'll be aware. Details are available on the MOD website. Idex and Desk Open Challenge have already been covered by Mr. Jatin, so I won't go into them. There are another scheme of projects called the ATB, Army Technology Board, handled directly by Army headquarters, and TDF, which are handled by DRDO. You can partner with DRDO also. You can also become tier 3 suppliers to larger defense companies. Like I know Bharat Forge and L&T are sourcing a lot of their other components to tier 3 suppliers. Just some examples of our defense industry in India. Small examples. The M1 Abrams tank, the track pads for the tanks are made in Bombay. You have bulletproof jackets, components, the insert plates, which are exported to the United States. The Israeli defense industry is outsourcing the ammunition production. Not outsourcing, they're setting up plants in India, in Maharashtra. Similarly, Israeli defense industries, their microcontrollers for the missiles and launch systems are made in Pirangoot. And we're buying it back from Israel. So why can't we produce it over here? Exporting critical components, fin controllers to Israel and then buying it from them, a finished product. There's a Saga Defense, which is making drones and exporting them to the US Navy. So why don't we start over here? The command is also in the process of revising its problem definition statements as this specific command. I keep adding this because I know you're looking at a bigger picture. You may want to operate in the glaciers, you may have solutions for jungles. But I am over here in Southern Command. So that's why I'm specifically addressing my attention to Southern Command. We are developing about 25, 30 odd problem definition statements. We're vetting them with the Army headquarters to make sure there's no replication. Maybe some other organization is already doing it. We don't want to replicate the effort. And another thing, a word of caution about supplying equipment to the armed forces is not just one time. I need 100, you make 100 and give it. It is a process of induction, training, regular replacements over the year, the entire life cycle support, including version controlling, replacements, your upgrades, and then discarding and coming out with something new. So it's not a one-time process that you make something and just give it to us. That's all I'd have to say.
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, those are very good points. I think very good inputs for a lot of our entrepreneurs. Since we are going to be running out of time, I want to close by requesting each of our speakers to talk a little bit, just a couple of lines of suggestions on one side for our entrepreneurs and the other side for Jatin. And then I'll end by requesting Jatin to speak. Sure. Right? So I think, is Dr. Shankar there? Or has he stepped out?
No, I'm very much here, Dr. Premnath.
Okay, Dr. Shankar, the question to you, did you hear my question? I just requested if you wanted to give a couple of comments of a couple of lines of suggestions for the entrepreneurs, and then for Jatin, who represents Idex, of what kind of new ideas and programs they can come up with in the future to promote innovators and entrepreneurs serving the defense forces in better ways.
What exactly is the question? I don't think I have anything more to say than what I said. The thing would be, sometimes I think the most difficult part for an entrepreneur actually is to identify the problem statement correctly. The thing is, and this would be even more so when it comes down to defense, what a person from outside perceives is a problem may actually not be the problem at all. In fact, even in some of the earlier meetings which I attended at Venture Center, what I sometimes understood was that entrepreneur is actually giving away a huge part of his or her life, 1-2 years in developing a product. So I think you need to get the problem statement perfectly. You need to understand what exactly is the challenge. So I think it's worth devoting a few months in figuring out what you're trying to solve, then you're assuming that you're trying to solve a thing. I think that's an important thing. And I have actually seen many products and many ideas being developed for something which possibly is not all that relevant. I mean, I don't know whether I'm coming across and saying it correctly, but this is what, for example, even this is especially true for defense, also for other places, because, and I think that would be the most important thing I feel, that you understand what you're trying to do correctly and then do it.
Yes, thank you. So Jatin, probably something which helps people define problems a little better, and besides, of course, the challenges that you put out. Come to Vishwanath.
Okay, I'm here.
Your suggestion for the entrepreneur and a suggestion for Jatin, who represents Idex, and funding programs that Idex will define in the future as well.
Yeah, I think Nodal Shankar did bring out the most important point that even I feel is one of the most important things, is to understand the exact requirements. Now, the user in its own way may define the problem. The entrepreneur may understand it differently, and we need to bridge that gap. And that's where Idex comes into the picture. Now, I have seen cases where, as Dr. Shankar brought out, items being developed and finally not being usable. Just a little bit of effort from the entrepreneurs to understand, and more importantly from IDEX to insist on the user to give a very good comprehensive, what is called in the services as a statement of requirements, or the quality requirements, standard quality requirements that they draw when they're buying it from, say, a foreign vendor. A similar kind of setup would help greatly in making the user put his thoughts on paper very correctly. And then subsequently, the entrepreneur trying to discuss with the user and understand it more clearly. That would be the most important requirement, other than the fact that you need to look at specific requirements of these services, which get missed out sometimes in these qualification requirements which are defined. It comes out during discussions, and that adds on to improving the product and its quality.
Yeah. Over to you, Ramdas. I will request you also to provide some ideas and suggestions for IDEX, because they're expanding, so they can always incorporate some of these things as it happens. Besides, of course, your advice to God.
Like I said, for the IDEX, you can probably rather than only look at, because we're getting a lot of queries for drones only. But other than that, there are a lot of fields, like I said, healthcare, even crew comfort in tanks, logistic solutions for mobile cookhouses, for electrification. We're looking at in a big way for electrification in the field areas using renewable energy. That's all.
Yeah. Do you think there are certain domains where we could leapfrog, where it's not an immediate need, but it's going to be a need tomorrow, and you're not able to anticipate it? How should IDEX support such programs? I mean, if you have some thoughts, even if anybody else wants to contribute, I think Abhishek, you should have some points on that, right? Things for the future, right? Something it's going to be a googly for the future, which today you're not able to anticipate, right? How can IDEX support that? Because that was one of the things which DARPA did well. So how do we do some of those technologies?
Well, in software, forward compatibility is very difficult. Backward compatibility is always easier. But I think the organization can just be a bit more flexible in catering for immediate requirements as and when they arise.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Abhishek, over to you. Do you have any suggestions, not only for the entrepreneurs, but for IDEX as well?
Yeah. For entrepreneurs, I have 4, and for IDEX, I have only 1.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you a small story, which is a true story, just I can't take names. So I have this OCD for contacting people and pushing them. So there were 2 projects from one agency, similar type, 2 different products, but of similar research. And I got one. And so I started chasing the other guy, saying, we are both having similar projects. Let's do something where we can jointly do the R&D and manufacturing, and we can also do testing. That setup was very expensive. The other guy thought that I am chasing this, I want to get something from him. And he stopped talking to me, and some bad logic from his side, because of course, not only me, but he also made some bad decisions. And finally, I was given the project and his project was cancelled. And it was $1 million, $1 million, or maybe little less than that. So I think the first thing that I want to say is, please collaborate. It's very important. Defense is a very multidisciplinary. I mean, there are electronics, there are mechanical, there are 1,000 other things in there. Don't do everything yourself. Please collaborate. Mr. Do All, Mr. Know Alls are past. They will not happen. So that is number 1. Second is, please write well. Okay. In collaborate. Now, how do you collaborate? So you need to be part of some forum. So be part of Venture Center. I am a chairman of Society of Indian Defense Manufacturers Startup Forum. Be part of that. They charge only 5,000, 10,000 per annum, but you have a huge network that you get from there.
Yeah.
So to collaborate, join these forums. The second session is focus on technology, which means write well. There is a huge laziness in our country in writing something. And you can only be judged by what you write because people don't see you, they can't talk to you. Your document travels at various places. Please write well and please write unambiguous. This, we will do this will not happen. What we will do should be written. Please meet the user before you write a proposal, whether he requires that thing or not, and what are the practical difficulties. Like, for example, there was a talk about FICV and the infantry combat vehicles. Everything was nice, hunky-dory, and everybody was talking about how to fire, etc. But nobody was thinking how the soldier would sit inside that ICV in Rajasthan. The temperatures inside may go above 50 degrees. So he would not be comfortable inside. Have you thought that? So please meet the user so that you know the requirements. Okay. For IDEX, I think only one session. Please do outreach to large companies. When it was only IDEX, it was okay. Maybe startups were managing, but now because you are IDEX Prime, there would be large requirement of money. Plus, many of the startups here are not in the mold of how to supply to defense. They would need mentoring. And if you ask me, I cannot do free mentoring. Otherwise, what will I do in my company? I also have to run my company. But suppose IDEX probably it allows now also, but it makes it something like an inspiration for others that you tie up with some big company. They will give you money and mentorship, and you will have the core technology. And then you both can own the technology in future. Then this problem of the elephant in the room, where will the money come from? Will the startup be able to manage the project or not? That would be taken care of. So I think in IDEX, okay, but in IDEX Prime, you will face this problem where the startups have claimed they have taken up the project for 15-20 crores and now they don't have those matching contributions, etc. That is only one problem. Second, they have not even appreciated the problem. So if you make the collaboration possible by outreach or by something where so many of these big companies, they have retired people from the forces and they can tell you, nahi baba, aisa nahi hota hai. So I'll tell you one simple example. Somebody said this vehicle has to climb 28 degrees. People are, isme kya dikkat hai? Then in the fine point, it was written in Leh. Now, climbing 28 degrees in Pune and climbing 28 degree incline in Leh are two very different things. So, on that side, there was a veteran and he said, no, Baba, isko achhe se padho. So, maybe you cannot afford a veteran today because you will have less money, but tie up with some big companies and I think IDEX should help that.
Okay, thank you very much. So over to you, Jatin. Last words before we close.
Thank you so much, sir, for the suggestions. We are continuously improving. And recently, one discussion was taking place in the Defense Minister's office, Raksha Mantri's office, that is regarding the testing, composite testing and the composite team also. So that time-taking activity, which takes multiple stages to clear a product. So that also we are combining with the help of all the nodal officers, with the help of all the experts. So how we can make concurrent trials, not stage by stage trials, so that the time is reduced. The user is there, soldier is the user. So soldier, army soldier is there to witness the product. They exactly tell what is the requirement. So we are taking initiatives to eradicate all the challenges. And yeah, that's a very good point. In IDEX Prime, we have to mentor the startups so that they can get better clarity on what are the expectations from them, the defense sector. So the last words, not my life's word, is event the last words. So the last words of this event from my end would be think differently. Steve Jobs ने यही दो शब्द रहे, think differently, और यही Apple का logo भी है, theme भी है. तो आप in India we have a tendency to copy everything wherever possible. So but when we think creatively, so we actually develop something new. Why India is called कि आप कुछ already international market में है, we just copy. But when we think differently, we create something new. So there is a possibility to create something new when we think creatively. and how to think creatively is understanding the problem statement with more and more detail. But keep it simple. Don't complex it. Earlier, when I was not in the defense ecosystem, before getting hired in the DIO, so I used to think कि बहुत बड़ी बात है और बहुत preparation होती होगी, बहुत कुछ ऐसा होता होगा. और usually students जब हम होते हैं तो हम ऐसा सोचते हैं कि it's a rocket science. ये बहुत common phrase होता है, but it is not like that. The people on the management, the people who are taking the decisions are like you, are like me. They're not different. If their approach to a particular situation might be different, but yes, they are like you and like me. So they also appreciate the journey that you are coming from and the solution that you are proposing. So they do understand what you are speaking. आप ये interesting बनने के चक्कर में the HPSC, I am part of some of the HPSC committees also. तो वहाँ पर बहुत सारे startups अपने आप को interesting बनाने की बात करते हैं, सर बता भी देते हैं. तो इंटरेस्टिंग नहीं बनना है, सामने वाले की प्रॉब्लम में इंटरेस्ट लेना है, आपको यूजर की प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व करना है. सो देयर इज अ स्लाइट डिफरेंस बिटवीन खुद इंटरेस्टिंग बनना और सामने वाले की प्रॉब्लम में इंटरेस्ट दिखाना. देयर इज अ डिफरेंस, बहुत थोड़ा सा डिफरेंस है, बट डिफरेंस है. सो जस्ट थिंक क्रिएटिवली एंड अप्लाई. गो अहेड. अगर आज हम शुरुआत करेंगे, सर का आज अगर मान लीजिए 100 या 1000 डे है इस एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप में, आपका फर्स्ट होगा. अगर वो आज 15 इयर्स के एक्सपीरियंस पर है, आप फर्स्ट डे होगा आपका. सो ही हैज आल्सो स्टार्टेड फ्रॉम डे 1, फ्रॉम फर्स्ट स्टेप. सो यू विल आल्सो स्टार्ट फ्रॉम डे 1, फ्रॉम फर्स्ट स्टेप, एंड द डिसीजन हैज टू बी टेकन नाउ. समय डिसीजन जो है कल नहीं लिया जाएगा, आज लिया जाएगा. सो आर यू विद मी? यस, नो? कम ऑन गाइस, लेट्स गो. यस, ग्रेट. सो थैंक यू सो मच.
One request. So +1, not the last one. So we have a lot of students over here from NCL, ISA, different engineering colleges. So how can they leverage this particular opportunity? So if you can quickly mention that as well.
See, students के लिए, but I would recommend हमारा Idex के अंदर ही we launch I40 internship also, where we map the students with the startups like sir. So with Yash and with Vishwas also, so we map the students with the startups, and it is absolutely free. Students get first-hand exposure, grassroots exposure to work with the defense technologies, that too absolutely free of cost. So it is our responsibility to ensure that the students are getting right mentoring, and in return, startups get a resource, and they can, give the task to the resource and get their help too in the development of the project. And students on the other hand get the first-hand exposure to work on the defense project.
Okay, I think on that note we will close. Sorry, we are going to run out of time, so I cannot continue. But I just want to thank, because it's way beyond time, for the speakers over there as well. So first of all, thank you very much sorry for the delay. Thank you very much for being part of the discussion. We can always discuss over networking. For the moment, I'll close this meeting. Thanks a lot. Dr. Shankar and Commodore Vishwanath here, we're going to give some gifts to our speakers here. Yours will have to come over post, right? Sorry about that.
Thank you.
But those are products made by our startups only. So thank you very much. Thanks a lot for participating. Yeah. And thank you so much, sir.
Army Technology Board is actually soliciting proposals now, so it's some faculty also.
Yes. Just give me 1 minute. Let me just close it and announce it. Please. Can I? Colonel Ramdas. Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you, Jatin. Okay. We are just going to close, and I'll just allow Abhishek to announce what he wanted to announce.
I am just saying that
thank you very much.
faculty members who want to do projects, Army Technology Board is soliciting proposals, so you can write there. Plus, I think Idex also allows individual innovators, so even faculty can write there also.
Yeah.
So both places they are allowed. Please make use of that. Write good proposal. That's the only thing I want.
Yeah. Sometimes you're on the hearing end, is it? Of the proposals. Thank you. I think I'll just stop here for now. It's Zeus numerics, right? So thank you very much. I think we close now. Yeah. And we'll open the networking session. And that's I mean, thank you so much for participating, all of you. You want to announce something?
Just any specific point. I think Abhishek talked about collaboration. There is an association of defense equipment manufacturers in Pune. It's called DIMA. And president of DIMA, Mr. Deshmukh, is here with us today. So those of you who really want to initiate into work for defense can contact DIMA, can talk to Shirish. And our own journey of collaboration in many projects that happened through DIMA. Thank you.
So we have arranged some snacks and tea outside. If I'm requesting some of our speakers, if they can stay back, we can talk to them outside. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you to all the participants who joined us online. We close now. Thank you.